So people in communities have got concerns. And I can also tell you through being in Ballymena, Aberdeen, Edinburgh, Falkirk, Glasgow, Manchester, and even Dover and London, right? I've done all these trips in the last 6-8 weeks alone, right? It's the same concerns all over Britain.
So with this country on its arse, we're bringing in 800, between 600 and 800 people.
No. We're bringing between 600 and 800 through that one entry point. Right? That's that one entry point. And I did the tipple that till I went down.
Wow.
Because I'm going, we're being lied to here, because we're meant to accept. Now, actually, when you look back and you read what they say, they're not telling you a lie, they're just being cute the way they tell you.
I mean, for me, I am worried about the future of this country because of the way this government want to mould this future for us all.
Well, if you're the type of person that believes in this sort of WEF, or these sort of New World
That's
Order
my
type
thing.
things, right? And it's about globalists, then you've not got anybody more globalist than SNP. Nice. Listen, I know people that were asylum seekers. I tell the story all the time about wee Baraka, the boy in Manchester, wee pal of mine. Boy spent the first 14 years of his life in an asylum camp. His family fled before he was even born, the Congo, because of civil war. It was on their doorstep, right? It wasn't miles away. It was at the end of the street when they got out of the house, right? So if I've came for this country, had to pay a guy $2,000 to get me in the boat from Turkey to Lesbos, why would I not pay £200 to get a flight to Britain and then seek sanctuary there? They don't. And you go, it's bollocks, right? Meanwhile, your wee Baraka and his family are sitting in these camps for 17 years. So see, anybody wants to call me a far-right racist bigot because I think it's fair that these people shouldn't be in these camps for 17 years, well, somebody else is able to pay $6,000 and they're leaving France, by the way. Last time I looked, France isn't dangerous.
A few months ago, you were arrested, mate.
Yeah.
You're allowed to talk much on it.
And bring the noise!
Welcome to another episode of the Bring the Noise podcast. And today, I've got a man that I can't shake off. You know, let me tell you a bit of background to I met this guy. At a hate speech campaign, at a rally. When was that?
1st April.
1st of April. What a date. 1st of April, all the days, April Fools and the hate speech bill. And then I went there and got asked to speak at it. I seen you, and then the big man asked for a selfie. And after that, I couldn't get rid of him. But today I've got, well, is this a joint thing?
I don't know.
You put it in your channel?
Probably not. I don't like you.
No, right. Well, anyway, today I've got Craig Houston. And mate, we've been pretty active since we've kind of met up.
Mm-hmm.
But let's dive into Craig Houston. Got a bit of background, big man. Let's go.
Crack on. What do you want to know?
Well, what happened? Like you've done things with Rangers, so let's touch on that briefly.
Yeah.
When was that? 10 years ago?
2013 to 2015, that sort of lasted. Yeah, I'm a Rangers fan, don't hide that. And Rangers had some dubious owners at the time, and me and a wee pal of mine were thinking, don't like them, there's something no right about them. We unearthed some information, and what we thought was, if we don't tell everybody what we think and what we can prove they're doing wrong, and it goes tits up again and we get into admin again, then we'll never feel guilty that we never told anybody. So we started a thing that we thought would be a couple of weeks long, and then that'd be it. So we got this information printed. We decided to go up to Ibrox and start getting out leaflets with information we knew, and we thought once we do that, that'll be us. If it goes Pete Tong, we've told people, and we don't need to feel guilty. And that was kind of what it was meant to be. And it just turned into this whole fan movement called Sons of Struth, and it was just nuts. And by default, I ended up the sort of figurehead of this movement to try and remove these guys for the board of Rangers. During that process, got arrested 4 times but never charged. My life threatened. But the police came and gave me an Osmond warning, which means they've got evidence that you're genuine risk to life. I had people turning up my house in vans. I had ashes at my back door. I get sued for £200,000, but that ended up not happening. But that was a bit scary. See the day you open up the letter saying you're getting sued for £200,000. First thing you think of is that's a lot of zeros, and the second thing you think of is I probably should change my pants at this moment. It was quite that was probably worse than the Osmond warning. And then that was ultimately successful. Rangers got new board of directors, and I kind of thought that was my what do you call it, activist stroke campaigning days
What
were
was
over.
$200,000? Like, what did you say to get?
Never said anything. That was the irony
But
of
was
it.
it just a threat?
No, it was. I got served papers for the court of session, a summons for the court of session. It was basically they were trying to quiet me down, which, funnily enough, I'm getting that again now. And it was actually, when you read into it, I'd put a post in Facebook. Facebook was my biggest platform at the time, and the comments came in, and somebody said something about a director that he was whatever, an allegation. But it was like the guy. To be fair, the guy done a bit of bird for tax evasion back in the day, and it was referring to that, and that was kind of when you dialed down. That's what I was getting sued for. But it wasn't in that set. I wasn't that stupid. I mean, listen, I'll say stuff sometimes, and if I get it wrong, I'll admit, I've done something wrong. I've said something wrong in a video. But when it wasn't you, it was like pretty crazy. So the reaction was, we got it in the front page of the paper, and the reaction was crazy with the Rangers fans at the next home game. I think we lined it up to go in the paper on the Friday, and there was a home game on the Saturday, and it caused a bit of stink, and the director decided to renege on the idea of suing me. So suddenly realised it was probably a bad idea.
How long did that campaigning last for?
But 3 years.
3 years. 3 years of your life that you regret, or?
I kind of listen. There's positives that came out. There's certainly a lot of positives, and a lot of people benefited from it more than I'd ever would. And some of them went on to be probably not my favourite people. So that always leaves a bad taste in my mouth. That when I was doing what I was doing, and I was the guy that was taking the blows. And in hindsight, you realise that some people were standing not beside you, but a wee touch behind you. And even to this day, some of them have benefited from my hardships, and I don't like them anymore. So I don't like that. Rangers got rid of their old directors. That was a benefit. And that time, I didn't have a pot to piss in. I was homeless through times there. I lost contact with my children through some of my actions. So it wasn't all. It wasn't easy. And I had been to some dark places at some dark times. And I don't know. As somebody said to me once, if you had to do it again, if you could relive that 3 years, would you have done it again? And I don't think I would have changed it, which is bonkers, because I paid a lot of price for that 3 years of action, and I always thought that I would get back to being Craig Houston whenever we got the result. Because what I done was,
Do you feel like you won the Craig Houston?
100%. Craig Houston couldn't have coped with that. See all that stuff that I've told you that I went through? Craig Houston was diagnosed as clinically depressed a couple of years before that. So Craig Houston couldn't have coped with that, right? So what happened was, I put a mask on, and I became the Sons of Struth guy. And I'll tell you a bonkers story that kind of highlighted to me how good I became at being an actor. I term it as schizophrenic by design, right? So what I would do, I had a cleaning company at the time, and we were out on a job in Paisley, and I got a phone call, and it was STV or Sky or BBC, whatever one, because they were always phoning. Could you come up and do an interview? Some story had broke that morning. And could you come up and do an interview outside Ibrox at the roundabout? Get a piece to camera. I was like, what time? 2 o'clock, whatever. So that's fine. So I was staying in Houston at the time, so I nicked back to Houston, got a wee bit of a wash, put on some clean clothes, took my dirty clothes with me, went out to Ibrox, filmed a piece to camera, went back to Paisley, put up my combat trousers and whatever again, and then went home. And I was sitting at 6 o'clock when the news comes on. And I was in a relationship with a girl in Houston at the time. She's come through with a tray with a dinner. And you know the way it started the news, you get like a wee 10-second clip of the 4 stories, and whatever one's first's the one that you're going to see first, right? So I'm on the telly, and the volume's down, and it shows you this wee clip of me standing outside Ibrox. So I know that's going to be the first story on. So I said to her, going to give me the remote control, because I want to hear what the Sons of Struth guy's saying. Right? And I thought that was normal, right? And I saw her face, and I thought, what's she looking at me like that for? And she was like, you're the Sons of Struth guy? And I was like, so am. So at the start of the campaign, what I was able to do, see when I was going and doing these things, I'd put a mask on, obviously. not a real one. At one point, I did have a rap mask on right enough, which was for comic value at one of the protests. But I put on this mask, and what I would do is I'd go and do the piece, or I'd go to the protest, or do whatever, then I'd take the mask off and be Craig again. But as the temperature started rising and all the nonsense started, I couldn't get the mask off, and I became the character. And I always thought, see, the minute we get rid of them, it'll be dead easy for me. I'll take the mask off, and I'd lost the company, didn't go anymore, and I'd missed loads of time with my kids and stuff. So I thought it'll be dead easy. And for 20, 30 years, I was in sales, and the longest I was in any industry was the motor trade. I always thought, see, when this is over, I'm just going to become normal again, and I'm just going to become the guy that was a sales manager or the sales trainer or whatever in the motor trade, and that's kind of what I thought would happen. It didn't quite turn out that way. I'll tell you about that as well if you want. But when the day came that we get rid of the board, I thought, mask off. And I couldn't. I'd became that guy. And now we're 10 years later. I'd love to tell you I took the mask off entirely again. And this is Craig, but this is probably now a sort of mixture of me and the guy.
See, this is the thing, because we know how much the mainstream media are going to tarnish us, right? So we don't. You've said that schizophrenia by design. You're no schizophrenic.
No, I kind of was, because I was two characters.
But this is the thing, right? I've heard this before. I heard this years ago, right? Now, I'd done something in the past, and I was like, I get that now, right? So see what you're talking about. You know Katie Price?
No, never heard her.
Right, okay. Aye. No, I mean, number one fan, right? So there you go, right? So she said in an interview once, right? And I remember it was years and years ago, and she turned round and went, there's two people, right? And I was like, what's she talking? She's Afraid, right? And she went, there's Jordan, and then there's Katie Price. And she went, so when you see me on the magazines and all that, I'm Jordan.
Yeah.
But when you see me
with the veins,
I'm Katie Price. And then I was like, and I never got that, but I then one time something, I went like, do you know what, I actually understand that. Like, who's not to say that I'm, you know what, I'm and then them get bring the noise. Do you get what I'm saying? Because it's a totally different when you're getting a microphone,
well,
you get adrenaline and that.
Do you know, I was talking to Connor and Stevie about this. This is two guys that don't know, they're starting doing protests and stuff, and you know, getting up there and putting a mic in front of them. And it's no normal.
No.
Right? See, it's no normal sitting in your house even 3 times a day with a camera talking for 10 minutes about nonsense, right? Which I do regularly. And it's no normal getting up on a stage to talk about stuff. We're no pop stars, we're no entertainers. And I watched a thing, funnily enough, with Jim Davison the other day. And Jim Davison's been a comedian for 50 odd years, maybe 60 years. And he still says you get that when you're about to go on stage. You're like, shit, I hope this goes all right. And sometimes it's difficult to take that step. And you think, well, how can he... Now, if he finds that hard, a guy that's been going on stages for... I think he's 70 now and he's been doing it since he was 20, for 50 years. How are you and I meant to deal with it? Right? So, being nervous and stuff, so you kind of... It's not normal. So you kind of need to become somebody that you're not to actually get up and do it. So I think we all probably are have to be.
Some people would say that that's an ego now. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, there's no ego here when you're speaking the truth. You know what I mean?
Is it an ego?
See, I don't think it's a bad ego. Everybody thinks it's got an ego, but it's no.
There's certain traits to do what you do and do what I do and go up in front of hundreds, sometimes thousands of people that you don't know and just grab a mic and try and get their attention. You probably do need a bit of an ego to do that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying I enjoy it. I don't mind it. Right?
We'd rather would not be doing this, Craig, to be honest.
I'd rather the world was perfect and you know, we could do other things. But is it an ego? I don't know. But we probably still do it now where, you know, that 2-3 minutes before you're going on and you know your turd's coming up and you know you're speaking after that guy and you start getting the stomach going and you think, hope I don't make an arse of this one. Hope I pull it off. I hope they react at the points where I think they're going to react. I'm probably putting the mask on at that point and just, you know, getting yourself G'd up to get the adrenaline going and just go and do it. So it's but at that time, because it was so intense through the Sons of Struth stuff, I ended up, I had the mask on all the time. And that day when I was like, I just want to see what the Sons of Struth guy's saying in the telly. How mental's that? I'm talking about me. It's me, it's in the telly. And she's like, that's you. I was like, fuck's what it is. That's how good I was at being me, to being him, to being me again. But as time went on and the business shut and all that, and it became 24/7, I didn't get the mask off. And it took, and as I say, I always had this thing that as soon as the job's done, the mask will be off and I'll be Craig again. And I've never became Craig again. I kind of probably a hybrid now. I don't flip anymore. Do you know what I mean? But I'm probably became a hybrid of these two characters.
So obviously you've done that. I mean, I'd love to talk to you about more than that, but we've not got time, right? And then you said you went into the trade with the car trade and that. You went back to something there, and you said that.
No, I always thought I was in the motor trade for years, right? And I thought I would go back to that. And when it was done, as I say, a few people, some of them don't here anymore, that I could thank, but a few people really helped me. I'm talking about less than 5 people in the world, right? And if it wasn't for them, I might not have got through it. And some of them are supporting me financially, and I'm not talking about paying me thousands of pounds, I'm talking about 100 quid here and there, right? And I always thought I'll just go back, I'll just kind of get a job in the motor trade, whether it's a salesman or a sales manager. I love being a sales trainer. That was a career that I didn't think about, and I ended up doing, and I really liked that, so I thought I'll do that. Now, my previous time in the motor trade, I was in London working I was a sales director for a cleaning company at the time, and I needed to get home, right? My marriage was on the rocks, and it wasn't healthy, me working away. So I needed to get home, and I phoned a guy that I'd worked for moons before, and before the week was out, he'd got me a job. I was in Edinburgh, sales manager, great gig, made a big difference, paid me a pot of money, right? It was great. So that's this guy. He gave me this job at a decent level in a phone call 10 years previous. So I thought, I'll go and see him. He quite likes me, and he's gave me jobs before. And I walked in to see him. I'm not going to mention where he works then. I like the guy, and I'm not. It's reality I'm talking about. No, he was just involved in it. And I walked into the place he was working in now, and how you doing, Hoosty? Oh, mate, he says he wasn't into football, right? But he's like, I started following you. The boys I was talking about you one day years ago and said, wonder what's happening to Hoosty, and they're like, he's never off the telly, right? And he was like, what are you talking about? He says, so I started following your stories. Wow, it was amazing, right? He's like, anyway, what you in for the day? You in to buy a car? Have you brought somebody in? And I was like, no, I'm needing a job. And his face dropped. And I went, what? He went, Hoosty, do you want me to talk shite or do you want me to just be honest with you? I was like, honest with me, what? He went, we're in Glasgow. You're that Rangers guy. He went, and even if I give you a job as a manager, I know you never sit in your ass, you're out talking to all the punters. He's like, and you're that Rangers guy now. And I was like, all right. Well, if I'm getting that off a guy that I know and respect, then I was like, that ain't happening anymore. So, and I struggled. I couldn't get a job. And I don't even know why I'm telling you about that. How did we get there?
We got there just because we were talking about it. You've told me that story before. I've heard about it. But, I mean, do you feel...
That changed my life. That's probably how I can be.
Do you regret that?
I don't know. I kind of sometimes think about it. There's not much in my life that I would say I regret. It was tough. There was some real negatives at that time. But there was some positives as well. And a lot more people got the positives than me, right? And I ended up with some experiences. I remember there's a guy Dave King, who was one of the guys that helped save the club, buying more shares. He's a millionaire, he was for Castle Milk, lives in South Africa now. And so they've taken power, right? And a load of people were like busting the front door in to get jobs and all that at Ibrox, right? And I just loved that. Wasn't but I done it for. But 6-9 months after it, when I still couldn't get a job, and I've watched all these people that done a tenth of what I'd done, all getting jobs and opportunities. And I was like, Dave, I went, I can't remember why he was needing to talk to me about something. But anyway, he says, how's things? And I says, shite, if I'm honest with you. How? And I told him kind of the story that I thought I would just go and get a job. And he went, I didn't know any of this, Craig. I went, well, no, I kind of didn't tell people while I was protesting that I was sleeping in a car sometimes, or sleeping in sofas sometimes. That's my personal life. So I didn't share that with anybody. He went, I didn't know all this. I says, I'm trying to make things better. And I'm a wee bit better than you, a wee bit of coin coming in through whatever. I says, but I'm on my arse. I says, and there's folk in there getting jokes. I went, so hold on a minute. And he got me a job part-time, it was initially, on a consultancy basis, just as and when required, getting DV projects, and it was fine. And then that led to, after about 3-6 months of that, a full-time job came up, and that led to mad things. Like I went to Russia to Moscow with the Rangers youth team and all that, and it just mad stuff. So I had some great experiences that I wouldn't have had. I met Walter Smith, I met all my heroes, I met Richard Gough, I've got a phone book that would choke a horse, and Alan McCoy when he walked past me in the street. It just, so that was all nice stuff. So it wasn't all bad. Do you know what I mean? But
you still got the passion for the football, but
no,
Why?
I still support Rangers.
Why not? Why have you not got the passion anymore?
Because I now understand that football's just a business, and it doesn't matter. See if you're a good guy or a bad guy. Even the good guys, it's just a business.
See, that's the thing, right? I'm a Celtic fan, as
Are
you know.
you, John? I'd never have known.
Right.
You see that monobrow right across the top there?
So obviously, I mean, that's the thing. Like the two, like I've been saying it for a long time. Unity is what's needed right now, and I don't have the passion for football anymore. I have said that, I can speak about.
I'm still a Rangers fan. Still a Rangers to win. I've still got passion for it, but is it the same levels I was when I was putting my life in the ring? No, it's not. Because and it wasn't because of that 3-year period that put a wee bit of water in my passion. It was the next bit in my life when I was out there getting death threats, sued, arrested, all these things for the greater good, thinking I was doing a good thing, which when everybody did, we get rid of a shower of cranks. I was nearly said a word there that I'd probably get arrested for. We call them cranks, right? Another word that starts CR. And where was I going there? Right, so you get rid of them, and then you get the good guys in. And the good guys, they weren't all good guys. They were probably half and half good guys. And they forget their own arse at times. Just why they've got a bit more coin than the average fan. And you go, and do you know what? It's actually, some people say, they treat us as customers. And I say, no, they don't. Businesses that are good businesses treat their customers better than you treat fans. Because, and it was Dave King that told me this one day, and I went, that makes perfect sense. He said, see if you shop at Asda, and you fall out with Asda. Well, you can go to shop at Tesco's. But see if you're a Rangers fan and you fall out with Rangers, you're not going to Celtic or Dundee United, right? So it's a captive audience. And it's kind of take it or leave it. And some of the things I've seen, even for the inside, you're like, this isn't... I wasn't comfortable. And I didn't know what to do. I'd worked here for about 3 or 4 months, and I started seeing things that I wasn't happy with. And I thought, well, what do I do? And I thought, well, I can't ignore these things that I think are wrong by shutting up and taking the coin. So I started making my feelings known when things were wrong for the inside, and inevitably it cost me my job, because as soon as COVID hit, I was one of the first to get put in furlough, and then by the time we were coming out of it, me and a few others were parked before the fans were back.
See, when you were talking about like Rangers being a business, do you know, that's when I realised that Celtic's is the same, just a business.
They're all the same, mate. It doesn't matter what club. Unless you're a juniors club and it's all volunteers, it's a business.
See, this is the thing, right? I've got a real gripe with this, right? And this is what annoyed me. Being a Celtic fan, what's the biggest bragging rights in Scottish football? 10 in a row.
And he's failed.
Right. But again, right, so see the day that you's died, right? See the day that went under.
So
right?
see if we died, who stopped 10 in a row? You're
anyway, right. So we could have a podcast
10 years after you died.
But this is what I'm saying. It wasn't the Rangers that won it. It wasn't. It was Celtic. It was Celtic that ruined it. It was Celtic that ruined it. Then I'll tell you why. You see the day that happened, that you went into liquidation and all that, right? I'm sitting there. I was working in Bristol at the time, and I turned into my mate, right? And I went like that to him. I went, hold on a minute here. I says, we're in like 4 in a row right now, right? I says, see by the time they come back up, it's going to be 7 in a row. But even at that, right? Even at that, you've
got all the money for.
But then you had an extra year because you couldn't even get up that. So it was 4 years, right?
Can I tell you a funny story?
Right, no, hold on, let me finish. Right?
Let me tell you a funny story.
So then what happened was, I'm sitting there going, right, well, think about it. Look at all the money we're going to accumulate. Then we're going to get into Champions League. Then we're getting into domestic trophy. And then we've all the money we've got. We've get rid of Tierney, Wanyama, Van Dijk, all this money. And I'm sitting, see by the time 9 in a row comes, see the year 10 for the 10, I says they're going to have hundreds of millions in the bank. What we're going to do, we're going to have best manager, right? And then everybody fell out with Rodgers.
Sat in a podcast.
Right. No, but this is what I'm saying. Right? This is my own. Right. This is when I realised it was a business. And this, I was so disheartened. And then when they get rid of Rodgers, and then Lennon came in, right, and I was like, right, Lennon can do. And then I started to see Lennon wasn't getting the results, and you started drawing and losing, and we started drawing, right. We should have won that league a lot quicker, right. Anyway, so Listen, look at the state of this, right? So the year the 10 in a row, it was the worst year ever in my life that
Good.
I've seen,
I'm
right? It
delighted
was
for
like, so I had a big tick list of how shit, and I was like, it was like, the amount of money we've got, how the hell have we not got the best players in that field? And that's, but anyway, but that's when I realised it was just a business and they didn't care about the fans.
I mind I told you the cracking story to tell
I'll
you.
probably get a lot of hate for that, but I
Do you
don't
know
care.
what do you know what I said a cracking story to tell you? I forgot what it was. What was it?
I don't
What
know.
were we talking about? And I went, I've got a cracking story, and you would be wanting going about Lennon and nonsense.
I don't know. It's your story. I can't tell you.
No, but you've blown my thought. Anyway, ask me something.
Anyway, right. So you've done all that, right? The funny thing is, I'll go back to. I mean, you'll just for Billy Connolly in it. We go for that there. Anyway, so wait, you done that, and then you were just doing regular jobs and that. You say, or just
No, I worked for Rangers. I eventually got a job with Rangers, and then COVID hit.
So when did you start your YouTube channel? What was the reason behind that?
Well, the reason was simple. I just fancied it, right? And
That ego again, aye.
I had a phone book that had 2,500 contacts, and before we started the protesting, it was probably about 300 or 400 like normal people, and the majority of it was all Rangers connected stuff. So I started the podcast where I was interviewing Rangers people. And I had the first one was an ex-Rangers chairman, the next one was an ex-Rangers player, then I'd done an ex-Rangers football hooligan, and then I would have like Rangers historians. I had a couple of journalists that were Rangers minded. It was all Rangers stuff.
Must have been shite.
Well, you'd love it. And I got one of the best things there was a guy called David Holmes who was actually there before Murray. People think that David Murray started the Rangers revolution in the 80s. He didn't. It was David Holmes was put in as for Lawrence Marlborough, who was a major shareholder at the time, and he just changed my life as a Rangers fan because I'd been going to watch Rangers and seen us struggle to qualify for Europe and not win anything, to suddenly Souness and Butcher and Woods and all that came, and that man changed my life as a Rangers fan. And nobody had heard from him for like ages, and I just thought that one day I'd like to get David Holmes on, right? And it was just like a daft idea that I thought will never happen. And I just started reaching out, and who knows it? I thought, we've not got a clue even where he lives. Anyway, it turned out David Holmes was writing a book. So I got to talk to the guy that was writing the book for him, and not only did I get to interview him, which was just like, and folk go up, but you've interviewed all these other people, and you know all these people, and this is your pal, and whatever. And but it was just like the biggest one I've ever done. And then when he'd done his book launch, he wanted to do a Q&A with the fans, and I'd done one at the what do you call it, hotel across from BBC, the Village, with a night in there, and I'd done a live with him, and it was just that was just fantastic. That's how it started. What was that story? That's a cracking story to tell you, and it was about John Brown. It was in my head.
Don't believe you.
Don't believe me. Oh, aye.
See what you've only got an hour.
Aye,
Jesus,
well,
we've not even got into the good
right?
bit yet.
Right. This is a good bit, believe me. It's all downhill for here. So, there's a duo, and right, see during all that protesting years, right?
Better have a lot more memory on these things.
My social life was great, right? Because there's always Rangers events on, right? And I was getting invited every weekend. I could have been at something, right? It was good fun. And there was a big deal at what's the hotel at the SEC, the posh one, the Moat House.
Aye.
There was a do in there, Rangers Supporters Trust were having, and I was invited as a guest to that. And I'm going to that, and John Brown phones me up one day, and he goes, Biggin, I said, John, I'm sure it was Bola. He said, what are you doing next Saturday? And I was like, I'm going to the Rangers Supporters Trust thing. The biggest Rangers supporters club in the world is up Northley, right? It's the Lewis and Harris Supporters Club, Northley. And they come to Glasgow once a year and they have a whole weekend down here, and they could do a player of the year and that. So it was that year we failed to get promoted when Motherwell beat us in the playoff. Right, so I'm sure it was John Brown. It might have been the guy that owned the Loudon, because that's what he do was. He's like, what are you doing Saturday? I says, I'm going to the Rangers Supporters Trust. He's like, well, can you come out to the Loudon for an hour? I was like, why? And he went, well, the biggest Rangers supporters club in the world is Lewis and Harris. And this was the year where we failed to get promoted, and they're having their Player of the Year award. It'd be nice for you to come in, show face, and say thanks for helping with the protests and stuff. Because I went, aye, I'll do that. So I'd went with Gillian, the rest do, and I'm away for an hour, right? Jumped in a taxi, went out to Loudon, walks into the Loudon, and on stage is Charlie Miller doing a Q&A. So I walked in, stood at the door, looked across. Charlie's clocked me, said something sarcastic to me. And the boy at the door, I said, as long as you go. And he went, about 10 minutes. So I was smoking at the time. So I nicked out to get a fag. So I'm having a fag. And this wee guy came out for the wee Kev. Turns out, going home. Didn't know him at the time. And he came out and introduced himself. He's like, I'm Kev for Lewis and Harris Supporters Club. I think he's a secretary or something. He was an office bearer. I said, how are you doing? He's like, listen, thanks very much for coming over. I appreciate you're at another do tonight. And, appreciate it. That's great. I'm really, really thankful for that. I was like, no bother. I says, listen, what is it you want me to do when I'm here? Do you want me to go up and talk? Or do you want to go up and ask me a couple of questions? Or do you want me just to go up and say thanks for helping with the protest and stuff? And he's like, do you know why you're here? I was like, well, I was kind of told to come here and say thanks for for your guys that have been doing at games and keep me protests and stuff. He's like, no, that's not why you're here. I was like, well, why am I? I'm thinking, I've left a drink in another place, right? And I'm like, I've left Gillian herself, and I'm like, well, why am I here? He's like, well, we decided, right, he says, see 2 months before they could come down here, we have a committee set up to discuss the player of the year. And we were struggling to find one because they've all been shite. And we actually went, the fans done more than the players. So I was the player of the year for the Lewis and Harris Rangers Supporters Club that year that you were slagging us about. Mm-hmm. So there you go. I've been the player of the year of the biggest Rangers Supporters Club, and I've never kicked a ball for the Rangers.
See that time when that happened? When you went
was that
down,
not a good story? No?
That was brilliant. Well done, big man. It was brilliant. I mean, I can't hear the audience if they're clapping in their house, fuck's sake, you know what I mean? Anyway, see that year that you went down, right, and all that, and God rest her soul, and it was boring. As a Celtic fan, for me it was. I remember sitting there watching a game, right, and I was like, my mate, I'm bored. And what do you mean? I went, every week we're scalping teams 4-5-0.
Alan McCoy said it at one time in an interview. He said people put us down, and some people were happy with that, and others weren't. They wanted a kick while we were down. And it was kind of bonkers, right? Because if you take Rangers and Celtic, or Rangers or Celtic out of the equation, we've not really got a marketable product. And some people were, it wasn't even enough that we could put down 4 divisions. So that kind of the journey was a story in itself. And
I mean, the journey for you would have been exciting, but for me, the Celtic
at some point, it was funny. See, going to gruns like Forfar and Alloa and all that. It was bonkers, right? It was we were just taking over towns, right? It was just mad. And I remember the first game. I think the first game at Ibrox in the 4th tier. I can't remember who we played. Sellout, right? It was just nuts. And it was good fun to start with, and then it honestly, see, we're at sort of 3rd or 4th year, it was starting to get.
I said, I remember the year we met in the final. One of the, you won it. You think you won it? No, hold on. It was a year that I won it in penalties, and it was the first Rangers Celtic game for years. And I was like,
that's mad, isn't it? I could tell you dates and games and all that before that, but see now, other than getting to Seville. That was nuts, right? I was
nuts for us, I know.
Aye, and I was like, I can't believe I managed to see my team twice in European finals in my life, and that one we did have a chance of winning it. And I spent that whole trip. I was out there for 4 days, and I just spent the whole trip going. We were in the 4th tier in 2012-13, and we're now in a European final. So it was kind of great, and
I said that to one of my mates. I says, this is just boring now. And then he was
like, into a football podcast.
No, but I'm going to get into a good bit, right? But he was like, this is no competition. He's like, if you're heating on it. And I went, let them. And I was like, this is just fucking. I want to watch I want to watch good football as well. And anyway, but I mean, I always kind of hang on to that because
you got any questions for me?
Aye, fucking hell, God's sake! It's as if I'm not allowed to talk. Anyway,
see, I tell you what.
But when we go to Seville, I always hang on to that. I know that was the UEFA Cup. That was brilliant, I know. But anyway, look, we could talk football and we can't stop yawning, you know what I mean? Anyway.
You've not got questions down there for me, have you? Oh, stop it, man.
No, we'll go off things and all that. Anyway.
Oh, God.
Right, so you done a wee podcast, like, you've been doing it on Rangers, which must have been awful. But anyway. And then you've started. Now, I didn't hear about you. Like I said, we met at the hate speech bill one, like when you asked for the selfie. And so see when you done your channel, right, was it at a certain point, and then when did you start getting more into political stuff?
I could find out the date. It was November 2023, and the date will be easy to find because I just looked through my catalogue, and it was Michael Matheson, who was the health secretary at the time, The story was he'd been on holiday the year before at Christmas, New Year, came home and he put in his expenses for the month and he claimed £11,000 for his roaming charges bill while he was on holiday. And nobody noticed. And then it was November before it started. Folk were like, what's this? Right? So not only had he claimed it, they had paid him out. This would have been, if you imagine the bill came in January, February, paid it February, March. Right? Nobody bothered about it when he claimed 11,000. No, it wasn't his phone bill was £11,000. This was just the roaming charges, right? So there was this big fuss about it, and folk were a bit like, "What's going on here?" And it was just the way it was dealt with. And first of all, he said that he was working. I was working when I was on holiday, and somebody worked.
What party was he part of?
SNP. He was a cabinet minister.
So the thing is, a lot of people might just say, "Oh, you're just targeting SNP." Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I don't mind that. I hate them. I'll target them all day long. I don't even need to. Listen, I'll not even hide for that. I hate them. They've ruined my country. Tell you one thing about the SNP, and this stops all arguments, right? The SNP in 18 years, or 17, coming up 18 years have been in power in Scotland, have managed to lower the life expectancy of Scottish people. Now, I don't care if you want independence, don't want independence, love SNP or hate SNP. See, when you consider that one stat, it tells you one thing you kind of guaranteed. They're no very good at being a government, regardless of what else your politics are, right? If you set out today, in 17, 18 years from now, wanted to reduce the life expectancy of Scottish people without a war, you would struggle to hit that target, right? I hate them. They have ruined the place I live, and I don't like them.
I don't think it's just them now at this point, but Craig, I think it's every government.
But at the time,
at the time.
So, so Matheson thing, and I used to, when I was doing my podcast, I was in a studio in Glasgow. I was using Ricky's Parliament, and I was doing my podcasts. So I had no equipment. And I just thought, I don't like this. So I hung a wee leather pouch, my iPhone over my laptop, hit record. It lasted 10 minutes. I put it out. Just to moan. Right? And because it was 10 minutes.
You moan?
10 minutes. Aye, funny that. 10-minute moan. And people watched it. It was about 5,000 people watched it. And I thought, well, that's a bit mental. And then the next day I done one about cyclists. And then the next day I done one about Rishi Sunak. And we went for Michael Matheson.
He's my mate.
Sorry, boss. Michael Matheson to cyclists. Nobody watched that. A wee few folk watched that. And then the fourth one, I can't remember what the fourth one was about, but it was about SNP again. And it went a bit busy. And then I thought, well, that makes sense because my majority of my audience will be Scottish. So Scottish politics, kind of get it. And I think it's fair to say, although we can't put everybody in a box, right? And it's not every Rangers fan, but I think it's fair to say if you took a straw poll of Rangers fans, a lot of them probably wouldn't like the SNP. So I kind of thought, well, aye, that's okay. And I didn't set out to just talk about the SNP, but they're in government. They're the ones that make the mistakes. They're the ones that affect their life. And I started doing predominantly them. And then the big one was a Hamza Yusuf a reveal I done with him. And
I don't think...
that's what kind of made that jump, was a Hamza Yusuf video that I done about him.
I've never been politically minded, and I don't claim to be educated on politics, but I mean, where I'm at now is common sense is playing a part, and I don't think where we're at in the world right now, and politics has never been more important right now for the future for us all. Would you agree with that?
Aye, do you know what it is, John? Politics has always been important. The only difference is folk like you and I didn't care about it.
It was boring.
It didn't bother. As I've said to many times, I worried about two things twice, probably, in politics. Two things would keep me going. An election would come up and I'd need to vote for somebody, so I'd kind of need to worry about politics and look into who I wanted to vote for, right? And I was never a Tory or a Labour or whatever. I've voted for them all. I've voted Tory, I've voted Labour, I've voted Lib Dems in the past.
Even SNP?
Shut up. And I've voted for independent candidates. No, I've not. I've never voted for SNP and I've never voted for the Greens. Anyway.
The Greens are just, well, aye.
They're bonkers. So that's normal. That's what normal people do. We don't bother about politics until there's an election come up or a budget, right? And that was the only twice I worried about politics. But that's what normal people do. All that's happening is you and I have changed. It's not that politics is more important today than it was 20 years ago. It's just that you and I are involved in the
what it is with politics is, but let's be honest here, the majority of people in Scotland, a lot of people around the world, are influenced by the media because we expect the media to do what they're meant to do. And when, you know, let's be honest, Craig, I'm SNP, independence, all that, you know what I mean? But how much information did I really know? Nothing. It was just standard. Westminster's fault. Westminster's fault. And then, but where did this become political for me was when, obviously, you know, my story regarding the Jag and, but, you know, the same woman who was in charge of this country, and I'm thinking to myself, well, she's handing this thing out.
Telling us it's safe and effective.
Telling us it's safe and effective.
These three words are probably one of the biggest crimes committed in our country by a political leader.
By all of them.
Safe and effective.
Globally.
I've seen the contracts. I've done we were talking about the other day, podcast with Murray, where they have the contracts in front of me. And they quite clearly tell you that we can't guarantee the safety, and we don't even know the efficacy of the drugs.
Yeah, but
yet we had everybody telling us these are safe and effective.
And they still hand them out.
And still are handing them out.
To pregnant women.
And kids.
Exactly. So, I mean, how but again, she's ignoring even known data regarding the amount of people that are dropping down now. After it. Now, for me, that's a very... Now, when it really became an issue for me was when I went on online asking her for help, and she blocked me.
Well, yeah.
The First Minister of our country blocked me, a guy who's saying, this has happened to me, and what can you do for people like me and my friend Alex Mitchell, who had his leg amputated? Ignored. And then you find, then you're and then and it became political.
The thing about her is, right, see if she did respond to you, she'd probably say it was Westminster's fault.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? And I just go, well, when do you accept responsibility?
Everything's Westminster's fault.
See, for anybody to do better in life, you've got to accept responsibility. You'll know that through people that have got addiction problems. You need to get to go, do you know what? I get it now, right? But it was this whole thing for 17, 18 years where it's Westminster's fault. And I've been saying to people, see, to fix this country, regardless if you're a unionist or a nationalist or you actually don't give a shit, right? You'd be happy with either, right? Because there's a big chunk of people there that we forget about that kind of one day could vote one way and one day, right? There's people in me are just die-hard unionists and ones that are die-hard nationalists, right? But I think the majority of people are in the middle, where on a different day, with a different story told to them.
It's common sense now.
Right. And regardless of where you are in that spectrum, that is not the most important thing. The most important thing is making Scotland better. So if you want to tell us that you can't make Scotland better because you only have devolved powers, right, and they're no good enough to make Scotland better, then abolish Holyrood.
Right? That's common sense. That means that...
But what I'm saying is, what we need at the next election is a group of people, and I've put myself up for election, but I don't care who's standing there with me. See, when we get into the room, hopefully I'm successful and I get to go to Holyrood and we then go, right, okay, can we be adults now, right? Let's take the book of devolved powers and don't use it, abuse it, wring it dry, every power in it, right? And make Scotland better with that. Now, see if we can do that for 5 years and not talk about stuff that we can't control. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the knowledge to know the difference, right? So see if it's Gaza, Palestine, even Scottish independence, because the court told us you'll not decide, right? So Scottish Holyrood can't actually affect that, right? So all these things that we cannot change. Why are we spending hours talking about them?
Exactly.
Right? What we should is pull that bloody book of powers and wring it dry and make Scotland better. Now, see if we do that, I might end up doing myself the worst thing in the world, because if Scotland then thrives, then independence might be, for this chunk in the middle, it could go either way. They might go, oh, it's quite good now. Aye, let's be big boys, right, and take the other. Because in reality is, the vast things that you need to change your country, education, transport, health, all these...
NHS, everything.
Right, they are devolved powers, right? And even year on year, we're really good at winning this horrible award of being the drugs death capital of Europe. And I've got idiots every time we get the new award about being, we're worse than last year, right? People go, it's because we don't have full powers. Well, you've got education, you've got health. We've just opened up a consumption thing. So you tell me you can't
That's
affect...
fair, and I know.
Right, but we decided that. Whether it works or whether it doesn't, and I think it will fail. We, as Scotland, decided to open that, right? So we can control it. And you use that as a blame, an excuse for independence. It's total bollocks. Can we just stop talking independence for maybe 5 years, one term of that parliament, abuse these books and make our place better?
I think this is we're so divided right now. We're looking at the country, we're witnessing, we're going to protest now, I go and I'm asking the people what's going on. We're so divided in this country and it frustrates the life out of me. And then it's like, if you wanted independence, John, you wouldn't be hanging about with Craig Houston. I'm like, look, We don't have a date for independence. Independence is a dangling dead carrot in front of you all right now. They're using it to take your mind off of what's really going on. And then they want to bring Palestine and Israel. I've got empathy towards it and all that, blah, blah, blah. But again, it's like, does anybody realise in this country how much we are getting into this horrible world? Am I talking nonsense here, Craig? I mean, for me, I am worried about the future of this country because of the way this government want to mould this future for us all.
Well, if you're the type of person that believes in this sort of WEF or these sort of new world
That's
order
my
type
thing.
things, right? And it's about globalists, then you've not got anybody more globalist than SNP. And it's bonkers when you think this is a party that was started.
You're going to have the same with Labour. I know.
Aye. So, and you go, well, what's the point? Because if that is your thing, then why would you vote for any of that mob? Because they've already proven. Do you know what I mean? I mean, we can't control our border as Holyrood, I'm talking about, right? Our government, Scottish government, put out a thing last year, 6-7 months ago, announcing a national housing crisis. We don't have enough houses. That's no, we don't have enough houses for the expected population growth. We don't have enough houses right now. Okay? So we done that. Then 6 months later, we're going to ask Westminster if we can get more immigrants.
Yeah. That's the thing, because somebody said to me under my post, I went, it's Westminster that's doing it. And I went, no.
So the Scottish Government's asking for more people and demanding.
Aye.
And they're saying that we want to control the student visas and have special visas for things that we've got skill shortages. I don't know what these skill shortages are. I don't kind of know. Anyway, and you go, forget the wokeness or not whatever involved here, right? Stop for a minute. You told us we don't have enough houses. Now you're telling us you want us more people. Now, whether they people are called asylum seekers, legal immigrants, or we want to just encourage people to have more babies, right? You go, well, how can you do both?
Don't even put the housing into it. Take the NHS, for example. I've got a heart condition. I need to wait 9 months to a year and a half for an MRI.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we keep continuing? We have call me selfish all you want. We need to use common sense.
You see, there's this thing, right? You've got to get your own house in order before you help your neighbour.
100%.
Right, if there's a fire in the street and your house is the one that's in fire and it might go to your neighbours, you kind of need to put the fire out in your own house before you go and help your neighbour, right? So it's nice. Listen, I know people that are asylum seekers. I tell the story all the time about wee Baraka, the boy in Manchester, wee pal of mine. Boy spent the first 14 years of his life in an asylum camp. His family fled before he was even born, the Congo, because of civil war. It was on their doorstep, right? It wasn't miles away. It was at the end of their street when they got out of the house, right? He ended up in 17 years. He was born after 3 years. Now, that boy and his family deserve anybody in any other country that can give them help and sanctuary, right? Especially after 17 years in an asylum camp, right? That boy, I think it was 2.5 miles wide, never left it. He's 14-year-old. Think about that, right? But the reason he had to spend 14 years there is, see, your country, we don't control our border. We're hopeless at that. So see everybody that comes along from France and tells us I'm fleeing my life, but you've just left Calais. I've been to Calais. Calais not that bad a place.
Let's
apart
talk
from the tents, right? So all you're doing is, see this Baraka and his family, you're leaving them in a camp for somebody that's been able to pay a guy $6,000 for a dinghy. Come on, that's no fair. You tell me that's fair, that guy there that can afford $6,000, he's travelled out whatever country he's telling us he's persecuted in, he's managed to travel all across Europe, he's managed to tell a guy £6,000. Now, here's one for you, John. See if I went to Greece and I saw them coming into the EU.
I touch on that and not forget it.
So they go from Greece all the way to Calais. And I've got film footage for Calais. Scared the life out of me when I turned a corner.
Can we show it?
Hold on. So, now, see any of that route, right? You pass through all these countries, right? Now, my flight for Lesbos, I think, was about 200 quid, right? So if I've came for this country, had to pay a guy $2,000 to get me in the boat from Turkey to Lesbos, why would I not pay £200 to get a flight to Britain and then seek sanctuary there? They don't. And you go, it's bollocks, right? Meanwhile, your wee Baraka and his family are sitting in these camps for 17 years. So see anybody who wants to call me a far-right racist bigot because I think it's fair that these people shouldn't be in these camps for 17 years, well, somebody else is able to pay $6,000 and they're leaving France, by the way. Last time I looked, France isn't dangerous, right? It's kind of all right, right? That's bollocks. And you don't have a passport. Stop it. right? It's a farce. And I'll listen to any blue rins more with one of the Arab scars that I've got telling me I'm a racist. I'll take that all day. I'll keep talking the truth. Thank you very much.
Aye, well, we went from there into immigration straight away, because obviously that's been quite big for you. But I mean, I do want to bring up, so it was Calais you went to first. I don't know, can we bring that video up? I thought. So you went to Calais, right? And this was a clip of you. Now, for me, right, we've got family in South Africa. I remember when you sent me that, right? The first thing I said to you was, I says, Craig, I says, see if I didn't know any better, I would have said you're in Johannesburg right now.
Mm-hmm. That's because nuts, right? So I seen all these guys here, right? And I thought, Christ, there's hundreds of them, right? And then I just realised that the right
Did you see any children?
No. I'll tell you that. So look, right? I was like, there's more there. There's one kid, one family there, right?
Woman?
I'd say 90% of the people I've seen in now what I'd done, so I stumbled across this place, right? I'd went out the first day and I got footage in Calais, enough to I thought, would give me enough to do a podcast. I was actually heading back to my hotel. I booked a hotel in Dunkirk because I was going to Dunkirk on day 2. And that big field there, it was like a dual carriageway. And I just saw these folk walking through this field that were up to their sort of waist in barley, right? And I was like, where are they got? And they were all walking, not in a big group, like in 2s and 3s, right? And then I looked up the street and I see a people coming down the street, and I didn't realise till later on that there was a supermarket about a mile up the road. So I was like, where are they all gone? So I done a burley and I came back and I've turned right off there's a bridge up there, that was a dual carriageway, and that's what I saw,
look
right?
at the numbers, man.
I know, and I'm like, what? Now, what you'll notice there is there's no tents, right? And the PKK that they've got graffiti, that's apparently one of the most notorious paramilitary groups in the Middle East, you know. So there's no tents, right? And I was like, where do they live? Because that's not a camp I've found. They're giving them out aid and water and clothing.
Here's a question, right? What would restrict them, right? So, you know the way it is in this country, right?
Can I just say something before we move on? See every single person you see there, they're only in Calais because you want to come to Britain.
Aye.
Right,
I know that. I've seen GB News.
I talked to a copper. I went south of Calais to start with, just to see the beaches and get the lay of the land. And there was a wee village I drove through it, right? And I just saw this migrant. There was like 30 of them standing at a bus stop, right? And I thought, that's a bit weird. Like, middle of nowhere. So I done a U-turn and I came back and I clicked my camera on to film them coming up, right? And just as I got, there was 2 or 3 coppers a couple of 100 yards away from them. So I pulled off the road and I went round and I said to the cops, I went, excuse me, I'm new to here. Do I have the same right to video anything in public as I do in the United Kingdom? And he went, yeah, why? I went, I was just filming them and I just didn't want to break the law. And he went, as long as you're not antagonising people. And he's like, what are you doing? And I says, I'm wanting to cover the migrant issue here and the people coming across Calais. I says, but where's the beaches? And he went, have you got a map? And I went, aye, on my phone opened up. And he went, see for there, there's a place called, no Bologna. I can't remember, it looks like Bologna, right? See for there, just to north of Dunkirk, anywhere across that coast you'll find migrants. They'll leave for anywhere. That was 45 miles town to town, but the coast doesn't go in a straight line, so it's probably 50 odd mile. Migrants, all that, right? All coming to the United Kingdom.
See, when GB News covered it, right? I think somebody said they're paying between 1,500 and $6,000, did you say, to get here, right? So what restricts them, out of curiosity, I don't know if you've looked into this, what would restrict them if they didn't the way we do it, right?
Nothing.
So, for example, passport.
Nothing stopped me at all.
Nothing. So these people are having any issues with getting a passport at all?
I don't know. I kind of only talk for myself.
People, when we go to these rallies, it's always the same. These people are fleeing war-torn countries. There is no legal way to come in here.
There is. Some of them might have fled from persecution or wars or whatever, right? But see the minute, right, let's take a scenario here, right? See if the Civil War kicks off in Scotland, right? And I think, there's a few folk don't like me here. This could get a bit tasty. And I decided to take me, Gillian, and her wee boy out of the country, right? See, when I got to England, and I'd go, right, we're away for the Civil War, right? Well, 2 things. 1, I'm safe, and 2, I've got my family with me. You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what I've got to expect is these people have left their family, because I talk to them and they go, I send money every month, and you're like, so, and, right? But once you get to safety, which could be Turkey, it could be Jordan. Could
So,
be all
but-
these places. So why do you end up having to come to UK?
Just remember, I've got brain fog, right? So I try and get this out. But what they're saying is, right, is they're saying, well, what happens is they need to come over here and seek asylum, and then they bring their families over. That's what these people are saying to me.
So where's the family then now?
Well, I don't know. This is
Right,
what
okay,
I don't
let's-
get.
let's-
This
let's
is
look at-
what I don't
Let's
understand.
investigate their logic there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what I have to do is I have to say to Gillian and her wee boy, "Yous wait here where the bullets are flying."
Yep.
Right? I'll not only just cross the border to get out
But
of
they'll
the
say that it's too dangerous for the family, for the mother and children.
So how are they going to bring them over when eventually they get here?
I don't know, mate.
Right,
This is what I
bollocks,
need
mate.
to ask.
It's
This is what I need to
total bollocks.
understand.
So the logic as to accept is, so I'll leave Gillian in the Hurwayne, right? You stay here, I'm going to do the toes. And it takes me months to get to United Kingdom. And then suddenly when I get there, I'm going to bring you, and suddenly you're going to be able to get out there safely. Who's going to take you out safely? Who's going to watch your back as you're climbing through, fields and woods and stuff? It's bollocks, mate. They're being lied to. And it's a narrative that the left want to drive. And I do feel sorry for refugees. I know refugees. I was speaking to I've got a pal who, no saying he's a pal, guy that I know, maybe I should change the term there, who I coached his kid. He's an Afghan. He's an asylum seeker here because he was in Afghanistan when our troops went over there to try and make them safe for the Taliban. He acted as an interpreter. When we were bailing out, right, we leave the interpreters, the Taliban would probably not be very nice to them, right? So he's an asylum seeker. You're like, well, that kind of makes sense, that. I get it, right? So I know people that are asylum seekers. And I kind of go, aye, everybody's got a heart. If you can do somebody a turn, you do them a turn, right? But see when folk want to lie to you and take... Another thing I'm going to ask is, why would you make that final journey? Why not just stay in France and phone your wife and get her out for there? It's just nonsense,
This is
mate.
the thing, because we've been to 3 locations in the space of a week. So it's Peterhead, Aberdeen, and Falkirk, right?
Yeah.
And all these 3 locations, there's been these crimes, these horrible crimes, right?
Yeah.
Which are not being investigated properly,
Well,
which
I
are being
kinda- no,
ignored
I
by the
think
mainstream media.
Some of them are getting investigated properly, but they're not being reported properly.
Aye. So if that's a local town saying that, I mean, look at the one we just done at the weekend, the one in Falkirk. Now, the mainstream media didn't cover that. I didn't see BBC at it or anything like
Well,
that.
Radio Clyde did.
Radio Clyde, but I mean, how did they spin it?
It was just that I could have wrote the script for them.
Aye.
You kind of know what they're going to say.
Yeah. And the thing is, when I done my video, I wanted to go and speak to the...
You weren't allowed.
But no, I wasn't allowed. It was the fact that, no, I don't want to speak to you.
Aye.
I don't want to speak to you. Then I get one guy and we had a good
Well.
bit of dialogue. But
Get it. Right,
Don't
I'll
say it.
talk to you after. I've got a cracking idea that will get you in that
no,
one.
we'll just leave that one because that one might happen. I know
It
what
will happen.
Aye, right. So we'll leave that one.
I can't do it. But
No, well, we'll see what happens. But I mean, it's. Let me ask you a question because I asked one of the guys to give me a question. Right? It says, explain the difference between.
Who asked this question?
Just somebody anonymous, right? Explain the
I'm not
difference
answering
between.
until I know who it is.
The guy behind the desk.
All right.
Right. Explain the difference between illegal and illegal immigration. The differences in the process of the entry into this country, and the implications of each on the economy and the effects on society and the immigrants themselves.
I can only talk for the people that I know who are genuine asylum seekers,
Yeah.
right? So you get out your country, and normally the United Nations have got people there to try and help people fleeing from these war-torn places. So you go to the camp, they take all your details, how many there are, and they will try and get you placed somewhere in the world. That's what people do who are genuinely fleeing from persecution. Or the other thing you can do is, let's say you were a Chinese author, and you've wrote some pretty damning things about the Communist Party, and you know they're out to get you, right? You can book a flight from there, land in the UK, and the minute you land, you're at passport control, you've entered through a legal channel, right? And you say, I need asylum. And you have an application processed. I don't see much wrong with that.
Aye, but that's just what I'm saying. Like when you speak to these people, they're saying that there's no legal way to come into this country.
Yes, there is. There's
I know
loads of
there
legal
is.
ways. We have illegal migration.
Unless I'm getting told these people are not getting passports. No, I don't know. Is that how
Isn't
they're
it
not doing
funny?
it? Well,
Amazing. It amazes me the amount of people that suddenly get to our shores and can't find their passport.
Well, they're saying that they don't have. I don't know. Is there a reason they can't get a passport? They can't do it this way? Are they getting restricted from getting passports?
Genuine asylum seekers. I said, see if you don't have a passport, what do they do? He says, you're issued papers to allow you to travel.
Going back to that video we've seen there, right?
In fact, I spoke to one just 3 weeks ago, a Cameroonian guy called Nelson.
I want to talk about a guy, right?
And I said, how see when you, what happens with you here? And he said, once my process is sorted, and here, I then get issued with papers that allow me to travel anywhere in Europe, right? Because we're in the EU. I can go to the mainland. And I went, where do you try to get to? He was trying to get to Luxembourg. That was his ideal destination. I said, so you don't need a passport or anything, but you've got that. It's basically a right to travel. He went, aye, that's that. But that's the normal process, right? But normally you don't need... Now, to be fair, we see asylum seeker. No, he wasn't. He just thinks Luxembourg's better than Cameroon, right? Because I was like to him, well, what are you running for? And what he said to me, and listen, he was a nice guy, right? I had a great 20 minutes, half an hour with him. Gave him a lift, went to meet Alan, the sort of capital of the place, and I enjoyed talking to him. Right? He was a nice guy, but he was talking shite, right? So what he was saying was, I need to seek asylum because we've got the oldest president in the history of the world, and he's a bad man, and we're going to have elections soon. And see, when you have elections in African countries, it always gets a bit tribal and it gets a bit naughty. I'm like, well, go your holidays for a fortnight then. Do you with me? I mean, it's like, genuinely, mate, you just fancy going to Luxembourg to live in Luxembourg because you think it'll give you a better standard of life. And he was like, well, aye. I says, I can't knock that. I want everybody to be inspired. However, there's a process there. Luxembourg, my mate lives in Luxembourg now. He's now a Luxembourg citizen. Stevie was Scottish, right? He's got a family there now, never married a lassie there. But he had to go through a process to enable him to go there. So I know there's a process in Luxembourg where you can go there legally. So what's happening now is folk like me Nelson, who, by the way, I got on well with him, right? I took him out for his lunch if he'd more time, but he was had to do something. He was a nice wee guy, right? He told me hundreds of things about the camp that I wanted to know. And, but he's bucking the system. He's not an asylum seeker.
This is the thing, right? I want to go back to that video. I've said this before, we can't assume that every single one will come in here are going to do horrible.
100%.
Right? Now, that's the thing, because that's what everybody's saying, you know. I'm going out there to document it, we're going to speak
Have you seen the stats for the foreign people that come to our country? The chances of them going to prison as opposed to the indigenous people in prison?
What's that?
There's some of it's almost 50%. The majority, normally, some of the sort of dubious countries like your Syrians and your Afghans and like Albania and stuff, it's like a 1 in 5 chance that if you come here, you'll go to jail. Right? That's not the stat for British people, right? And our cops don't like jail less British people just because of their skin colour and where we were born, right? So per capita, per 1,000 people, 100 people, whatever you want to use to measure it. Now, this is not even taking in illegal immigrants or fake asylum seekers just now. This is just people in the country, regardless of how they got here. And the vast majority of foreign people are more likely to end up in their jail than the people that already live here. So what we're doing is we're bringing people in who have got different standards, different morals, right? And they're just more likely to cause crime. Now, that's not me being a racist, a bigot, or a fascist. That's me telling you the true facts, right? Like that Kate, she went, white guys rape people.
That annoyed me.
And it's fucking disgusting. And do you know, I've never stood at a protest yet with anybody who didn't want every single person that, I'm not saying the word because it'll on your channel, but the P word and the child thing, right?
Aye.
Any man that does that, I couldn't care their skin colour. Most of the people I stand shoulder to shoulder would want them strung up.
But this is a thing.
But what we'd need to take into account is the amount of illegal immigrants and fake asylum seekers that do these things. There's two problems with that. They are proportionally more likely to do it, right? And we don't need to put our kids in harm's way.
Aye.
We've got a skill shortage of lots of things. No being nasty to kids. Not being nasty to kids ain't a skill shortage we have. So why do we need to bring more in? They're statistically more likely to do these things.
Try to get a word done here, man.
Well, I'm the guest. You ask the questions, I answer them.
But see what I'm saying, right, is the weekend there, right, I said that to a guy and the guy was like, I'm not up for these people all coming out. Now my argument is, right, something's happened in the local area to a young lassie.
right, fault.
One was a guy.
See, people don't just turn up at these hotels.
No,
right?
but
they turn up.
let
at
me
this
finish
hotel.
my point.
Right,
Right,
no, there's three of them. There was two young
but
girls
let me finish
and
my
a
point.
32-year-old man.
I know this is what I'm saying, right?
For a place that only holds his 100 people.
So if there's a local guy who's found to do something, right? Let's say somewhere in Glasgow, right? A local scheme or council place, right? If there's a local guy, what happens with the local people? They all come out in their droves. We've seen plenty of videos on it. And they all come out and they go, get him out.
This narrative, it's as if people that are protesting against this fake asylum seekers in the hotels, it's as if they turn a blind eye to other crimes. Stop talking nonsense. Just stop it. Yeah, see if you did, now there's people like that protesting Saturday that I've seen footage of that I wouldn't share a stage with.
Yep.
Right, let's just put that out there.
100%.
Right? There's cranks.
We can't be in control of everybody.
Correct. But there's cranks on the other side as well. Because you put a large group of people, you'll get some cranks. So there's some people at the protest who are probably not as wholesome reasons as myself and you, John. Right? Let's just put that out there. Right? But that's no me. Right? But the crank is you just, honest to God. And you oppose this. I went down to Manchester to speak at a protest that was not about asylum seekers. Right? This protest was about making the society safer for kids. They had two girls talking at this thing, right, that were victims, survivors of mass abuse by numerous amount of people on numerous amount of occasions.
You've got opposition there.
We had, mate, it gets worse than that. They were behind, so they had Piccadilly Gardens it was in, and there's a big statue at the edge of it, and the road's behind it. So we were at the park side of this statue addressing the crowd that way. They'd let the gun platoon 10 feet behind us on the road, right? And I went up and I went, oh, see, before I start, I've got things I want to say to you people, but give me a minute, I'm going to address them first. I was like, what are you doing here? Right? And see, when I turned around, it was all union banners. And it disgusted me. At the bottom there, it was a teacher's union banner. So you've came out today, put your clothes on, lifted your banner to say, I'm going out to counter-protest against those people who want this place to be safer for our kids, and you're a school teacher. Give your head a wobble, right? Give your head a shake.
Everything's just so divided because like I'm sitting there, right, and you try and speak to them, they don't want to speak to you, right? That's very evident now. But they've got this mindset that we're the bad guys because the mainstream media have made out everybody to be the bad guys. It's that simple. It's back to the COVID days. I didn't see any protests back in the day, but see out in London, see all the people that were going against the lockdowns and all that, it's the exact same thing, and you had people counter-protesting that saying, you're killing people, you're doing this.
I think
what we've got is we've got so much division, but in my opinion it's all orchestrated.
Possibly, yeah, and I can't discount the fact that it's a probable, right? But what we've also got is we've got a certain part of society that they don't play golf, they don't go and watch a football team, they don't play snooker, right? They demonstrate. And every week it could be a different thing. See if you take a screenshot, a snapshot of people that are pro-Palia rally, an independence rally, trans rights rally, show racism, the Red Caird rally, right? I'll guarantee you that the majority of them will be the same people. It's kind of their thing, right? And they tend to be people who are to the left of politics, right? So what's happened here is we've had probably a generation where people that are the left of politics go out and protest. It's like in their makeup, right? And now they're trying, in big numbers, by the way, since last summer, when it took the death of 3 beautiful wee girls, the horrific murder of 3 beautiful wee girls, man, for people to actually say, we don't like this sort of stuff in our communities anymore. So now these people that used to have their own way at protest every weekend, right, are going, oh shit. Who are they? No, they don't disagree with you. See, when you saw that with Kate, right? See, when you drill down what she opposes, she doesn't want her old folks' homes shut and turned into asylum.
The fisheries, the farmers.
Right? So it's all the same, but it's as if, but it's no us, it's protest. So, you're not allowed to protest. It's kind of like that. It's like, no, you're not allowed to protest. So I can't disagree with you. So what I'll do now is I'll call you a fascist, racist bigot. And try and take the right away for you to protest.
But what's frustrating me is when, because I interviewed her last week, it's on one of the videos, and when you're doing it, I'm too busy thinking about this and coppers and everything about and dealing with side effects and all that. And at one point she said, how did I do it? Now, I wish I turned around and like,
she asked you.
Aye, right.
You were rotten.
I know.
Done you like a kipper. You done exactly. And for those that don't know, I invited anybody from the audience that was counter-protesting.
Go look at my video on Peterhead.
To come up and talk. I said, I'll give you the last 2 minutes of my mic time. If you want to come up here and tell me and everybody else why you're here, and this one woman, fair play to her, takes a set of gonads, right? A hostile crowd. She came up, she said her bit, but she made no sense whatsoever.
But what I said was, right, is you were doing all right until you decided to blame us, the white men in Scotland, or the white men in UK. And this is the thing, I've been hearing this a lot more over the last few weeks, and even on TikTok debates and all that, I'm starting to hear that the statistics say that us, the white males, are now the threat to society.
Well, statistically, it depends how statistics are wonderful things, because you can generally spin them anyway.
You can
so if you
manipulate
say, are the majority of people who are abusive to women and children in the United Kingdom white British people? Well, yeah, they are.
Yeah,
right?
because
that kind of is like 80-90% of the people in the country, right?
100%.
But then if you look on it in a proportion per capita,
No,
as in a
no, going to
ratio,
explain that per capita thing.
per capita, it's
In
like
simple
per head,
terms,
per
like
head.
pure
So,
aye.
say if you took, say you took 100 Syrians, right? There's a chance that 21 of them will end up in jail or be in jail right now for every 100 Syrians that are in the country, right? And if you look at 100 British people, it's probably less than 8% in jail, right? So per capita, the Syrian guys are naughtier, right? So, but if you look at the number, how is there more British prisoners in a British jail than Syrians? Oh God, aye. There's like thousands more, obviously. But when you look at per capita, which is like an average, right, ratio,
Yeah, sure, aye.
then you go, well, that's a bit mental. So it depends what stat you want to use. If you want to just be stupid and say there's more British men in jail for being abusive to women and children, well, kind of aye.
Aye.
And that's kind of the way it should be.
To go-
By the way, it should be 100% of people are in British jails for abusing men and women and children. It should be 100%, because any that's no British just shouldn't be here, right? What we do now is we deport at the end of a sentence, or we try, and then the lawyers come in and say, oh, you can't send him home, right? We shouldn't. We should send him home in day one. We should just go, that's it. See, when you walk out of court with a guilty, plain, off you pop, but we don't. We put them in jail.
See, when we go back to that video that you had, right, and I say to you, that's like looking at Johannesburg, right, and that's what it looked like. I would have said, you're not in France, you're in bloody South Africa, right?
John, I got a fright and a surprise, because I kind of thought I knew what I was going out to. But see that 10 minutes of footage that I got in that, like,
Now,
last early that day, I'm like, this is a bigger problem. I thought I knew what the problem was. The problem.
the thing we've got is like,
see whatever you think the level it is. It's infinitely more than that.
have you ever been to South Africa?
No.
Right, let me tell you what South Africa's like, right, like Johannesburg. We have a culture major difference over there and here, right? And I've been out there and I've seen it, and it's Johannesburg, you don't walk the streets, mate. They have smash and grab areas, right? So you drive down the lane and it tells you, there's a sign and says, this is a smash and grab area.
And you fit that in. It looks like that, mate.
Right? That was like,
Aye.
right?
But John, I need to just re-emphasise this point, right? See, every single person in that footage you just seen, they're coming here.
I know.
And you're like, but we get told there's 300 a day.
But again, we can't
No, there's not.
assume that they're all...
Do you know what? I need to tell you my experiences, right? When I went to Calais, I started in Dover, right? And I thought, I went dead early in the morning to get footage of the lifeboats, RNLI, because I thought they were still picking them up in the ocean, in the channel. So I was there about 7:30 in the morning. And I'm like, the staff car park's empty, right? So the RNLI are not picking them up anymore. So I can't figure this out. So it's going to be a long day, because I kind of don't know what I'm doing now. And there was a wee guy in a camper van. I went, oh, excuse me, mate. I said, I've parked here and I'm probably going to be here for a bit longer now, and I realised this is just for people that are in the marina. Where can I park? And he's like, so what is it you're doing? So I started talking to him. The guy, I can't even divulge his job, right? But he was cracking, he worked there. And he worked in the sea industry. It's probably the safest way to say it. And he's been out there and seen stuff, right? And he gave me videos of it. And he's like, no, they've stopped picking them up. I went, well, where are they getting picked up? He's like, Border Force. I went, all right, where are they? And he pointed to it. It was like that. You couldn't see it. I was right next to it. So there's like 3 parts of the harbour in Dover. The one to the left's the ferries. The one in the middle's the marina. That's where the RNLI lifeboats are. And then there's this one on the right that you can't see. If you anywhere on the street, you can't see it. It's like, it doesn't exist, but it's massive, right? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, there's another pier out there. They've had it all.
Yeah.
I said, how did I see that? He's like, see up there, there's like turrets, like it was for the Napoleonic Wars, but then in the Second World War they sort of demolished them and built them again, right? That protect the harbour up in the hills. He's like, see if you go up there and you'll find the guys that count them. And GB News and that paid these guys to count. They're just like, like the bouncers with a clicker. So they're up in that hill. He's like, and by the way, I'm watching one of their Facebook pages. There's the first boat in the morning's just about to come in. So this is 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. So I've jumped in the car the way up into his car park, came out. I was like, you, John, whatever his name. Hi. Somebody sent me up. Brilliant. And it turned out there was a parliament trying to get me in tow with this guy. So when I've turned up, he's like, you the boy from Scotland that's gone to Calais? And I went, aye. And he went, yourself? And he went, aye. And he went, you're nuts. And I went, how do you know? He's like, well, we hear all the stuff. We heard you were coming down. Somebody was trying to put the two of us in contact. So anyway, so that morning, and I was done in because I drove down the night before. I had about 2 hours sleep. But about lunchtime, I was wiped out, right? And I was like, man, he came through here yesterday. And he's like, oh, it was 600 yesterday. He says, that's weird. Because what we were told was yesterday, total illegal immigration and asylum was the same number. He went, that's right. I went, but did you count them all coming off the boats that we're picking up in the middle of the channel? Uh-huh. So we're told as a nation that's the amount of people have entered the UK today illegally, right? Aye, but it's not the figure. He's like, I know. I went, because see, before it was the boat people, it was the stowaways and the ferries. Now I've been standing here, there's like 3 ferries an hour because there's 3 companies, maybe even 4, constantly going to Calais. Have I expect that to have stopped? He's like, of course it's not stopped. I says, and see the rest of the beaches down there? Did none of them land? Did none of them get right across the channel and land in the beaches? He went, of course they do. He went, but they come at night. Okay? So we've got these people coming in that we're picking up, we're border force in the middle of the channel. And we're told as a nation, that's it. That's no it, John. And it's never anywhere like it. Now, that's me just talking about that bit of Calais. Sorry, Dover. So I'm going, well, you could have the same amount coming through the ferries. You could have the same amount again landing at night. Because they're still finding dinghies, by the way. Folk are getting up in the morning and walking out the house and there's a dinghy sitting there, right? Like 2 mile away from Dover. I went to London, stayed at a place, can't remember this, Blythe. Just along the coast, beautiful. The folk there, aye, dinghies turn up here all the time, right? So we're getting lied to. The number isn't the number. And the other thing is, see if the number was a number and Keir Starmer's telling us he's smashing the gangs. So let's say that, and we had nobody coming in the boats, right? Why is it every week we find out about more and more contracts with more hotels getting home office contracts, which are between 5 and 7 years? Why do we need that when we're stopping the boats?
How many are estimated to come in a day?
On the official figures, listen, it doesn't take much for them to be zero, right? Because see if it's no, what's the nautical term for it? Calm and smooth or something. But basically, they need almost no wind and no waves, or they'll not even do it, right? The French can actually stop them if it's undangerous, and I kind of believe that when it is a bit treacherous, the French are like, no, you're not going out there, right? Because we're picking up dead bodies. You'll get 100 yards out, right? So the conditions need to be right. But when the conditions are right, you can get 1,000. I mean, that day I was there, I think I left the boys about 12:30. So I was there for about 4 hours with them. And in that 4 hours, there was 250. And I think the total for that particular day was 600 or 700. It's from dawn to dusk, mate.
So with this country on its arse, we're bringing in 800, between 600 and 800 people.
No. We're bringing between 600 and 800 through that one entry point. Right? That's that one entry point. And I did tip all that till I went down.
Wow.
Because I'm going, we're being lied to here, because we're meant to accept. Now, actually, when you look back and you read what they say, they're not telling you a lie, they're just being cute the way they tell you. Right? So that isn't the figure. Do you know what I mean? And then I came back in the boat. I spent 3 days, I think, in Dunkirk and Calais. And when I came back in the boat, I seen other things that were just blowing my mind.
See, I've been trying to finish that story for ages regarding Joanne. But anyway, I want to talk quickly on... So I was talking to the guy at the Peterhead rally. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, those figures are frightening that you've just told me they're right.
And they're not true.
Right. But I've written... See when they use data, but it's always look at the data regarding the Jags. I've seen when people go, they Google. Do people not understand that big tech and Google are all just as corrupt as these bastards?
See, the frightening thing is, right, I came back in the ferry and you drive into the car deck and then there's another deck for like trucks and for buses, right? But like small, not like transit vans, camper vans, cars. They were on the car deck, right? And it was weird. So I was coming into Calais harbour, get my part, and I actually at one point I went, man, the right queue, because my queue, there was only 2 things open for you to come and get a passport checked. My queue, I had 2 transit type vans in front of me, and then me, and then the other queue, there was a transit van, 3 transit vans, and then a beautiful sharp blue Mustang, right? Because then I'm like, so vans, I'm on the van bit, right? There might be trucks and buses and vans and cars. I'm thinking, I'm on the wrong queue here. So I looked about, and I went, there's a Mustang there, so less of 2s are daft. So I should have realised that time. There's a hell of a lot of vans here, right? Didn't notice, been tired, I've been at it for 4 or 5 days. Gets onto the ferry. I'm kind of first on the ferry, one of the first. So you lock your car up. You're not allowed to sit in the car deck while it's at sea, so you got to sit in the lounge, right? So I'm sat in the lounge, and I was wanting to get cracking Wi-Fi on the boat for some reason. So I was wanting to do a bit of editing while I was doing the half home. And I popped it up, my laptop, I was working away. So I'm not even like, what's going on round about me? The guy Martin Dobney for GB News, who had been on earlier on that day, I can't remember if he phoned or texted me or something. I think he texted me about something. And then a mate phoned. And I looked through, and the wee bit of the lounge that I was in, I was the only white guy. And I didn't, because I was on early and I was just grafting away, right? So I'm on the boat for about 40 minutes now, and I'm like, ah. So man, this is weird. Now, seeing the way out, now if you think of people are buying return tickets, you'll get a wee bit of variance, but you know, if 80% of the people on the ferry going that way are British, you would expect it to be the same, regardless of when you come. It might be 75, it might be 85, but it wouldn't be a big difference, right? Is that fair to say? If everybody's buying return tickets, because some people are coming that way and they need to go home, and some people are going that, right? So that's mental. But there was about 6 lounges the way it was split up in the boat. I walked around that whole boat and I took the stats for every single lounge, and 85% of the people on that boat were not British. Now, even the ones that I thought would be British, I would go up and listen to them, and you would hear a foreign language. So my figures are not wrong, right? I thought, that's bloody weird, that. How's that possible? Then I went back. Now, I was one of the first cars onto the car deck, right? So I didn't see the car deck when it was full. So I went back, and I thought, well, if I'm going to be off first, I better get down pretty damn sharp. So as soon as it was, you could actually go down, I went back down, right? And I went, what the hell's going on here? 85, no. What do I tell you? 60-odd% of the vehicles in the car deck weren't the cars. They were vans. Right? And I'm going, no, there was 1 or 2 transit vans on the way out, and there was 2 or 3 camper vans, you know, motorhomes. And the rest were cars. And I thought, what is going on here? So I actually filmed it so I could count it later. So I went up and down. You've got 2 lanes and the stairs in the middle, right? My car's here. So I went through to the other side.
Did you put this on one of your videos?
Aye. And I went up and down the line so that I could film it. And then when I came home, I was able to go 1 van. And I put a counter. See, as I would turn the corner, I'd go, no, 4 vans, 2 cars, right? So the figures are the figures. And I'm like, there was a deck full of tranny vans, right? And there was...
Can I say that?
Transgender vans.
Anyway,
Not a non-binary van, right? A Ford non-binary, right? So, where was it? Aye. So I'm like, that's mental, right? Now, it was weird because there was one had British plates. So they're all foreign, and it was all like Poland and stuff like that. So they're all like, most of them Eastern European, right? Not one of the vans had a business logo on it, right? Now, say you're a joiner in Gdansk, and you've got your business logo on it, and you go on holiday because you don't have a car, right? So you're going on holiday to Britain. You hear me? How probable is that? In your van that doesn't have a logo on it, right? I'm like, there's something all right here. And then I noticed there was some of them, not only did they have a van, they had trailers, right? Now, a lot of these trailers were enclosed trailers. But every trailer I seen that wasn't enclosed had nothing in it. Now you've got to use a common sense. So if this is all above board and legit, what's happening is this wee guy from Gdansk or wherever, Donetsk, whatever, he's coming on holiday to Britain, right? And he needs to take his van because he doesn't own a car.
Wee trailer.
Empty trailer. Why would you travel halfway across Europe in an empty trailer? The only reason you would tell that is if you're doing some graft at the other end. And I'm like, I think I've tackled here what's going on. So there's all these people coming on holiday who are in the EU, so they can come in here easy enough. You show a passport, I'm here for 2 weeks, and just forget to go home. Now, I have said on the video that I've done, this is the figures on one trip. Now, these figures might be odd. I might have just picked, there might have been a bus, it might have been the transit, that's the word I can say, the transit van day out for everybody in Gdansk, right? Or everybody in Albania, or everybody where all these plates came from, right? They might have just been having a fan club day out, right? I don't know. It could be a one-off that this place was all full of these vans with empty trailers, right? So I have said I'm going to do it at least another twice. So then I've got 3 lots of data, and then I can suggest what's going on here. But what I think is going on, the initial thing is, these people are going out and he's coming here with a passport, we're here on holiday, and forgetting to go home. Why would you take an empty trailer on holiday with you? The only reason you're doing that is you're coming here for a bit of graft, and you'll be doing tarmac Adam jobs or something when you know, by the Monday. Another weird thing I forgot to tell you about the Calais, the boy that was the boy that I met in the camper van at the Royal Lifeboat pier. He started telling me some mad stories, right? And then once I was finished, I went back down to say, listen, mate, thanks very much. That was a great. And he's told me more stories. He was sitting in his camper van making his dinner at this point. And he said his job takes him out to sea, right? And he says what happens is there is 1, 2, 4 boats involved with every dinghy. 4-hour boat, well, 3-hour boats and 1 French. So what they do is...
There's a car in the van, one.
That's it.
So that's you walking past with the van and all that?
Aye, so you've got 2 of these roads, as it were, right? So there's 6 vans right off the cuff, right? There's another 1 in a car, so now it's 7 and 1, right? So that's what the ticker was doing. Right? Empty trailer. Do you see the empty trailer?
Ah, actually, no.
So we're at 2 cars and 10 vans so far.
I've seen there's a ticker, aye. What's that say on the back? Big Hoosty for president?
It's like a name. You with me?
19 vans versus 10 cars now.
Aye.
There's a guy who's...
No, that's more than half.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I'm McKenna, aye, with
And look at all these trailers.
22 vans.
You with me?
Mm-hmm.
How's that possible?
Well, a good vans, I know.
So I don't know the stats here, but that was out of 40 vans. 40 was the total, 39, and 25 of them were vans. Right? Now, explain that to me. I can only get, and I don't really want to do a full thing on it, but if I do that journey 3 times and I see that same thing repeated 3 times, then that ain't just...
Well, it's kind of like me with the Jags, you know, when I hear that I'm getting ignored and then Alex is getting ignored and then people around the world are all getting ignored, then I've got to start to say...
Sorry, I need to tell you a story about Calais. I've tried to tell you it 3 times, I keep forgetting. So,
I've tried to tell you about Johannesburg one.
I'm the guest, right?
Anyway, right.
I'll give you a clue, right? See the podcast, right? How it works is, see the host asks questions, the guest replies, right? Because if you don't want to ask me questions, no, today I'll go up the road.
No, I get it. Go get it. Get out. Then a 10-minute moan about this podcast after that.
Right. The guy that we worked in right, so there's 4 boats, right? So what happens is the dinghy leaves France, right? Now, see if there's a wind, the French escort it into no man's land. There's a bit in the channel, it's got high points, 2 high points, like a gully, right? You can't see it, it's underwater, but then that's how it flows. That's the no man's land bit, right? Between this wee peak and that wee peak. So they take them, and as soon as they get there, our border force go and pick them up, right? If it's dangerous and there's a risk to life, so if it's bad weather, our lifeboats will still go and pick them up. That's the only time you'll see our lifeboats now, if there's a risk to life, right? But on a calm day, hardly any wind. So now to help them, so the French escort them out, and this guy showed me videos of it. So if the wind's coming this way, to stop the wee dinghy getting blown away, or instead of landing at Dover, he's going to end up at Felixstowe or something, they go beside him, out in the middle of the ocean, channel. Then we send what they call a rig. That's the inflatable. We've got a rain. I saw them leaving the harbour, right? So they go out, they go side by side, they take the illegals onto the rig to start with, then they take them up to a third boat, which is a second-hour boats, and that's the bigger sort of the Border Force boats and the Royal lifeboats. They're about the same size, but one of them's white and one is bright orange. So they go for our rig onto theirs because their dinghies not as safe as our rigs, right? Yours are solid, right? So then that's us with 2 boats in the channel plus a French boat. Then once that's done, there's a 4th boat comes to pick the dinghies up, right? So they all work the same game. This guy, right? So you try, if you see another a fisherman in trouble or a yachtsman in trouble, you go and help him, right? He thinks to help folk when you're out and sea. He's like, so this one day, I'm a mile away from all this. He went in the dinghy, starts floating about mental. I know the guy coming to pick up the dinghy because I know his name is his boat. I look on the app that tells me where all the other boats are, and he's a good 10, 15 minutes away. So I'm thinking, by the time he gets here, that's going to be another 10, 15 minutes away, right? I'll go and grab the dinghy for the guy coming to collect the dinghies. And he's like, I looked down, right? He went, there was about 50 folk came off the boat, right? Because he's watching. He went, and inside the boat, there was about 24 empty condom wrappers.
Mm-hmm. Maybe tell me.
No empty condoms. So something's happened to the condom. Mm-hmm. Now, if you use a condom for its normal purpose, you would finish doing what you do with it and you tie a knot in it and it'd be sitting next to the wrapper. Mm-hmm. Yeah? So I kind of don't think they were having a big sex party in the boat, right? But there's 24 wrappers. That would suggest to me that what they're doing is they're putting something in the condom,
banking it,
and hiding something. Right. Now then, what you need to consider is, the way when you get the guys like myself, they go over to Calais and they talk to people and they go, how much did you pay? How much is it going to cost you, right? And some of them are dead cool about it. They'll go, €2,500. You're like, well, how do you pay that? They're like, well, I saved up. I worked for ages to save the money, or my mum saved the money. They're trying to get me to get a better life, right? That's kind of how these interviews go. But some of them, the interviews go, so how much is it costing you to get there? And they're like, I don't know. I'm not paying it. My village is paying it. All that stuff. When they're a bit ropey about just saying it's $2,000 or it's $6,000. Now I firmly believe what's happening here is the ones that are a bit edgy is because they're no paying. They're doing stuff in lieu of. Now again, to tie this in, I've heard some teen stories. People turning up, the people traffickers turning up at asylum hotels, right? And I go, what do they need to turn up at asylum hotels for? They've done the deal. The transaction's complete. Gives your dough on there. You're in. Why did it? And there's been loads of instances with this where the people traffickers have been at hotels pestering people. And I thought maybe it's a bit of tick. Maybe they're daft and they about to pay you up for some of them and they've got to come and get it. But I don't. Maybe it's because you've been to the toilet now. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the whole thing's massive. And the whole thing's worse than you would understand. And listen, did I enjoy the experience? No, I didn't. Did I enjoy the experience in Greece? No, it was horrible. The things that when I seen in Greece, I thought I'd copped it. I thought I've bit off more than I can chew here. I'm in bother, right? And it was unpleasant being in, and doing all these journeys alone, right? But I tell you one thing, see the knowledge I've learnt for it. Both those trips, phenomenal. I dare them again in a heartbeat.
I do want to touch on the Greece one, but I want to say, seen Peterhead, right? There was a security guard there. Remember the black
you tell
security
your
guard?
stories again. There's a favour, you tell your stories
because
on a podcast.
because no, it usually ties in, right?
Aye, you can
And what I'm saying is, right, because you're going to get labelled, even me now at this point, they're going to say, you're a mad right-wing racist, blah, 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 right? Now, when I arrived in Peterhead, right, for that event that we spoke at, I'm sitting there going, we've got a black guy from Africa who's a security guard, and we've all been labelled as racist and that, right? Now, I'm sitting there going like that with regards to racist and all that, and I'm sitting saying to myself that basically, can we just pause that? Because I need to piss and all. I finally get to tell my story, and he fucks off. Fucking Do you know what? Fucking keep that in. I'm telling the story, and this bastard just fucking decided, you know what? I'm going to just go.
You know what I thought was going to happen? I thought you were going to carry on.
No.
To talk to him, but we just watched him on front.
I know. What fucking. What? I'm sitting there going, what fucking. Just keep going. I'm just going to fucking. Basically, what I'm saying to you, John, is I don't give a fuck. It's me that's talking. Fucking hell. Can we just pause it? I'll edit this, don't worry, man. I need a pissing off. You're a fucking.
Why you keep going?
But you walk right past the fucking camera. You're fucking funny. Oh, so I mean, I'm going to sit there and go, fucking hell. I need to tell the guy this. No, they're not.
Yeah.
I'm sitting down.
Oh, class.
I'm trying to tell this story, but then he fucks off.
You can do, it's more versatile. I mean, Tommy Ross was doing one, he sent me yesterday, and it's the same place, but it looks different because they're sitting.
We're not having another conversation. I'm trying to get this one out.
We're recording. Right, fucking
Never
moan.
stop. This is all recording.
Oh,
No,
brilliant.
it's all right.
Right, we're going to have
Right,
outtakes.
so, right, anyway, right, no smiling. Put that face on that you had on so we edit it, right? Aye, right.
Bold face.
So anyway, I'm going to need to go back to the PR. Right,
No, you don't.
shut up.
You
Stop
don't
it, because
need
you're
to tell
fucking
that
up, because I'm
story.
going to need to edit this.
Fucking right, just edit it.
So,
I need up the road.
Right, ready.
Right.
So obviously we done the event at Peterhead, right?
Yeah.
And obviously when I arrived there, there was a guy who was from Africa, the black security guard. Now the first thing I'm thinking to myself is, this guy's going to hate us. This guy, if he's read the flyers, he's read the local newspapers.
Well, I know. I mean, if the man's got a set of ears and he's heat,
Well,
then he wouldn't hate you because he'd hear the stories. He'd hear me talking about
aye.
the asylum seekers that I know and telling people these stories. But the people that don't want to listen, they'll hate you, aye.
So when we went there, I went like, listen, big man, I said, just to let you know, I says, what they're trying to label people as and tarnish them all with this brush, saying we're racist and all that, I says, going to do us a favour, going to just listen to this today, and I'm going to come speak to you at the end, and we can have a conversation. So after it, I went and spoke to the big guy. Now, I wish I fucked the camera on, what I'd done with that young lassie in
You couldn't
Aberdeen.
have with that.
I know,
That would have been
right?
totally unfair.
But I would have put it on me,
Yeah.
and it could have just been his voice.
Aye,
But anyway,
aye.
so when I spoke to him, I says, look, you've been to this event today, you've heard everybody speaking. Can I ask you what your views are on it? Like, the mainstream media are going to label everybody like I've said at the start. And he turned around to me and went, I agree with everything you're saying. He says, I came into this country, I think it was 6 years ago, right? He said, I fled away from my country because I seen the dangers of it regarding my family. I've
Where
got
was
my
he from?
I think he was from, he was South African somewhere. I can't remember exactly.
Congo.
It might have been, right? So he fled there. He went to London, right? So he came to the UK and stayed in London. Then he started to see how London started to change, and he said that London became so dangerous. So then he said, I got my family, and we got out of there, and now we've come up to Scotland. So now he's up in Aberdeen.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, now I'm at university, I've got my kids and blah, blah, blah. And he's saying, but now I'm starting to see it happen here. So he says, I went through the right process. And he says, my family have. He says, so I agree with this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, mate, do you have any idea how powerful that would be?
Yeah.
Because they want the division. Now, the fact is that they're going to label us and me and you. And I spoke to the boy Connor.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm saying to Connor is, the people that have been in this country for 10, 15, 20 years, people don't have an issue with these people. We've lived in harmony for so long. There's not been any... I mean, Scotland, in my opinion, has never been like that way in racism. Do you know what I mean? There's always been bigotry with football, but we've never been that way. We've been very multicultural. We've always been accepting to people. But now they're trying to divide and they're trying to make people something they're not. And what I'm saying is, it's time for those communities to come together. People from the Muslim community, people that came into this country properly,
They do.
to stand here and go,
do, mate.
we agree with you. And
But they do.
but the mainstream media are still tarnishing us
No,
on.
the mainstream media don't show you them, right?
Aye.
There's a wee guy. Remember I done that live, not the last one, on before, where we had 4 crank callers come in just to shout Craig's a racist, right?
Aye.
And the first one to come, I mean, Kevin's one to kill the guy, right? And Kevin's one to shout him down. I'm like, Kev, sit down.
Kev
Right,
needs
just
to
let the man
stop getting
talk.
emotional
I'll
at
deal.
that.
See if anybody wants to throw allegations at me. I'm cool with that. You need to justify them before, right? So come on, tell me about, and then justify it. And they can't. So the boy that came on, I could see him in the green room waiting to come up, was wee Shoaib. The Shoaib's a Pakistani boy that's lived the vast majority of his life in Saudi Arabia. And then he came here to study, done his studies, went back to Saudi Arabia, decided he preferred Britain, came back to Britain, right? Immigrant, foreign boy, Muslim. It's got the exact same opinions as you and I. Right? There's Sikhs. By the way, I know Sikhs that are more patriotic than people who are not Sikh. Right? I'm talking about people who consider themselves Christian. Some of the Sikhs in this country love this country. Mad about it, right? But the mainstream don't want these people to have a voice, even less than they want your voice, because that doesn't fit the narrative. And when they're that boy Baraka, by the way, I'll set you up, you can talk to him. Right, but a great podcast for you to do. Either pop down to Manchester or do it remotely, right? His story, phenomenal story. But he gets his life choked out of him on YouTube because nobody wants to hear an immigrant, an asylum seeker, tell you that our asylum process isn't right, even from an asylum seeker's point of view, a genuine asylum seeker, because he spent 14 years of his life getting parked to the back of the queue every day at Boatlands.
See, this is when my worry is, right? I said that to the big man. That was at Peterhead, the security guard. I said, do you want to know where my worry is? My worry is that people are going to start to, and it's all divide and conquer. This for me, it's all a plan, and they're all trying to do this, right, to bring in certain things. And my worry is
you have questions for me?
Aye, right.
I'll go road if you don't.
Don't for hours, right? But my worry is, Craig, that it's going to get to the point where people are going to start to look at these people that came into this country and start to go, where did he come from? How did he get in this? And that's what they want. And that's what I'm saying. These lefties and all that are trying to do this.
See if this has the wrong effect, where the government and the mainstream and whatever don't want to listen. Right? People will get more frustrated, people will get angry, and then it can lead naughty. Right? And if that's where it ends up, see your guys that show up, see your guys like Baraka, see the people that can't see anything bar colour, they'll start even targeting them, no knowing their backstory. And that's just bong. But that's my first gig where I went, bugger it, I'm going to go and report for outside, was to Ballymena. And what happened that day, I was meant to be on the Thursday travelling down south to do something with somebody. That was what was planned. So I'd need nothing in my diary for a couple of days. And I was going to drive down at like 3 or 4 in the morning. That was my plan. But the boy contacted me. Remember he put, I don't know if you remember, I'm not going to mention names, but he put on social media, Craig, I've been trying to get you, I've WhatsApped you.
No.
Somebody quite well known. And it was all this, right. So anyway, I'm now at 11 o'clock at night. He was going to the airport and he was like, if I don't get him now, he knows fine well I'll be jumping in the car and be halfway to London. So he was trying to get me quite urgent. And this was about 11 o'clock. So now I've got nothing to do tomorrow. And I get contacted by a guy called Alan for Ballymena. Random. Don't know him for Adam at that point. Saying, Craig, could you do me a favour? See if I tell you what's really going on in Ballymena, could you report it in one of your 10-minute moans? I was like, I could bugger all today tomorrow. I mean, I tell you what, is there anything happening tomorrow? And he's like, I went, right. So I went, about 2 o'clock in the morning, I'd booked my car into the car park at Glasgow Airport, booked a flight return from Belfast Airport, hired a car at the other end to collect when I got there, and put my head in the pillow for 2 hours. Then get up, got one of the first flights over, and by the next day, 12 hours later, I met Alan in Ballymena, and we'd done my stuff, right? And I thought, the big problem we've got here is, so the problem in Ballymena was the same as the problem in Falkirk, was the same as the problems in Aberdeen, right? There's people in communities where they've got these people put into their communities, and it's not quite working out, right? And people are getting abused and harmed, right? So in that one, I think it was 2 or 3, I can't remember the exact number. Whatever it was either 2 or 3 people in Ballymena had been abused by minors. It was Romany population, right? So that's what they were unhappy with. So they had a protest, turned a bit violent, got a bit naughty, they were doing daft things. They heard that they were sent up, they'd got them and taken them up to the local sports centre, they'd try to burn the sports centre down, right? It went nuts, went above and beyond, right? And he says, but the story is, these 3, I wish I could remember if it was 2 or 3, girls that are being abused. That's the story. But what we're hearing is, these people are they're just taken to the streets because they don't like asylum seekers, and they're starting to burn shit down. Now, they're kind of used to things happening in the streets where they're different from we are, right? They don't muck about. I filmed it, right? It was like, who sees the smashed every window? Everything was, right, it went a bit nuts. But the story was like part 2 and part 3 that the mainstream were telling you. Nobody was telling part 1. So what he wanted me to do was go and tell part one. See, this is why it's happening. And a long story, boring to tell you. So where I seen it there, and that was the first time I seen it, and it's repeated all over the place, right? So people in communities have got concerns. And I can also tell you through being in Ballymena, Aberdeen, Edinburgh, Falkirk, Glasgow, Manchester, and even Dover and London, right? I've done all these trips in the last 6-8 weeks alone, right? It's the same concerns all over Britain. And by the way, I've got news for you. It's the same concerns of the people in France and the same concerns of the people in Greece, because I've spoke to them as well. And what's happening here is, so people have got concerns. Now, see if you think that the establishment and the government and the media are listening to you, then you go, thank God for that, they're listening to me. You've got hope that they'll solve your problem. But when the establishment want to have two-tier policing, two-tier judiciary, right? Jail folk for doing one thing in a protest, but when the other side of the protest get flung out of court, right? When they see that, and you're told that you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're a fascist, you're a whatever, I don't care. But I'm no normal, right? I'm no normal. I can handle that stuff. Normal people can't. They will end up reacting. Now, the next bit is, I don't know if it's part of the plan or not, but all I would tell you is it will be the outcome. And the outcome has got to be when people have no hope anymore and they have no faith and they think they have no future because nobody's listening, then what happens next, John?
Mental.
They start getting angry. And see if we get to that point, that's a danger point. Now, some people want to suggest that that's the point that's in the plan. I don't know. That's for a conversation.
That's my
What I'm telling you is, that's where we end up. So what we need to try and do is we need to try and change the narrative. We need to try and get the media and the establishment to say, do you know what?
We're the media.
You're right, correct. But the mainstream, we need to get them, and with all due respect, even the people with the biggest channels out there, the mainstream talk to more people. Yeah. Right? So we need the mainstream media. We need the establishment to actually go, you might have a point here. Can we look at this? And then people, they come back for boiling point. You with me?
Yeah.
But I clicked to this in Ballymena. They were really frustrated. They chased the guy. The guy for the BBC turned up. I was doing a street interview and the guy for the BBC turned up. They chased him out the postcode. Because what he'd done is he'd reported on it the night before with the narrative of these thugs, these bigots, these Protestant paramilitaries, right? And all that nonsense. And you go, that's no helping the matters. So see these people, see if it does turn nasty. Now, the people who do turn nasty and set fire to things and start violence cannot be blameless, right? So you've got to accept responsibility for your actions if it gets to there. But I tell you who else, I'll no be blameless in all this, and I will not miss them. Will be our establishment and our media.
But they've been part of it since, like I said, Craig, everything. Why have I went through the thing that I'm talking about and now started talking about other things?
Because I believe it's one big thing.
Because it's all interlinked. Mm-hmm. Everything is interlinked for this. For everything I've watched for day one, and I know that you're more like when you spoke to me at first, you thought this guy's off his nut. But I think
I knew you were off your nut.
You're doing a bit more investigation now. But do you know what I mean?
No, that's not true. Well, I've always done this.
Aye, but
the perception's changed. But what I'll never do is I'll never sit here and go, wait, I tell you this big conspiracy. No. It's pointless. Because the people who want to believe in conspiracies will listen to you, but they're listening anyway. So what we need to do is we need to try and get the masses who don't like conspiracies, because it melts their heads and it's pretty scary. Yep. So we need to get the masses to understand that it's not always as clear cut. So what I try and do is I try to present things with, as we saw there, I'll go in the boat, I'll take the video, I'll count the stuff, right, and say, here's some facts. Now, is that been driven by the WHO or the New World Order or the Masons or Illuminati? I don't know.
United Nations.
All I can tell you is, here's some bloody facts. Let's wake up. There's something happening that we don't understand. There's things being hidden from us. We don't know the full picture. And I think doing that, from me personally, I'll get more success doing that than putting a 1980s tracksuit on and calling myself David Icke. You with me? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of why I do what I do. And I don't want to have conversations about... I will have conversations with United Nations and the EU because I've uncovered facts about them because of my travels, right? Mm-hmm. And the ridiculousness of that, and that's a whole new podcast in itself. But I think that's the way I need to put things across to people so that the penny drops. And then people think, well, What about what John was saying there? And what about this? And what about the vax? And what about, right? It's wee bricks we Craig. It's no, right?
No, I get it, but it's like the goal is 2030. That's what they've told us. The goal is 2030, low emissions, net zero, all that stuff. How are we going to get in 20-minute neighbourhoods? How are we going to get all that stuff? And this is why I'm saying that this is why they're ignoring. It's like regarding the Jags. Imagine you're myself, Craig, and you're getting injured and you're asking for help for the establishment, the very people, and they're turning their back, and then you find out the medical industry's involved with it. The doctors are all silenced. They're not allowed to speak, and it's like we're getting backed into a corner. Then it's like everybody who's doing these protests are all they're bringing it to boiling point. The whole country is at boiling point regarding so many things that are being ignored.
Yeah. But it can be fixed. And
it can be fixed.
We need to get the...
But they don't want to fix it.
It's a pressure cooker, right? So people who are concerned, if they're on this pressure cooker sitting in a stove and it's boiling and pressure's getting bigger, when you then go, no, you're a racist. Like, no. I've spoke to people, right? There was a guy, see this Falkirk thing, that's no new, right? I was at that hotel a month ago, doing videos, right? And I got to speak to a boy and he was telling us that the worst thing about them is there was two mad things they'd done in Falkirk, right? Now, this is your doorstep. This isn't me telling you stories for Greece or stories for Calais. This is me telling you stories for 20 minutes up the road, right? So there was some things that happened in the community, right? Two stories I want to tell you. So they were like, there was an instance happened in Market Street. Somebody was abused in Market Street. And we believe that the guy who is going to court is from that hotel. The local paper went to print and said, we want to dispel all rumours that something happened in Market Street with a guy for that asylum hotel. It didn't happen, right? It didn't happen. Local paper, who should be their pal, right? Months later, when he went to court, the court reporter reported on another trial that happened that day. But in the report, the last paragraph said, also at court today was Mohammed Al-Akbar Mahmar, right, who is alleged to have committed a crime at Church Street. Mm-hmm. No Market Street. They're round the corner for each other. So the fucking local paper, the residents are up in arms. Yeah. Are denying things. Now, they know fine well. They know it better than me. So basically, it was like being in West Nile Street or Circuit Hall Street. You with me? Mm-hmm. And they denied it happened. Yeah. Then by mistake, they let that, right? So that was number one. So number two, the residents had a small protest. You're talking about dozens of people who went up to the hotel a few Saturdays in a row. The cops turned up. So the guy that's speaking to me and telling me these two stories, he's there. The cops come up like, what he's doing here? Like, we want more information about what's going on because we believe these guys are a risk to your me. And the post like, what are you talking about? She said, well, apparently there was a 13-year-old girl abused last week and the guy that's been arrested for it was in here. We want her safe kids. The copper said, there was no 13-year-old girl raped in Falkirk last week. To which the woman standing beside the guy said, excuse me, officer, that's my niece. You're saying doesn't exist. They can't treat people like this. That's why they go for having a couple of dozen at a protest to having probably 4 figures on Saturday. And it's got to stop, John.
This is why I want to try and do unity, mate, and bring causes together. Because we can't just, like, every single person in this country, there's so many issues getting ignored, and we're all being ignored by the same establishment, which is media, government, and not even that, your big tech, Google and all that. These people are all, they'll do the same things. I mean, even AI, you can ask that thing will manipulate things and all. But it's mental, man. It's
Any
just
good ones in your wee thing?
I don't. How long's this been on for?
Go get us another one. What's the best one you've got left?
Jesus.
What's the best one you've got left?
I don't know.
Go on, you must have some. I need
Like
a wee notepad to your wee questions.
I've not even covered Greece.
I know, mate.
Have you got time to cover Greece?
No, I'm leaving here 3 o'clock. We're here to get 19 minutes.
Right. Well, we'll finish. Right, we'll finish it. Right, but I wanted to talk about. Well, there's 2 things. I don't know if you can talk about one. Right. You done a video. Right. Now they talk about freedom of speech. and all that, and they
Yeah.
talk about what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
A few months ago, you were arrested, mate.
Yeah.
You allowed to talk much on it?
I can talk about it, but I might not be able to talk much. You can ask me anything you want, and I'll answer what I can.
What was the video regarding?
No comment.
No comment. Okay. The person who's made the claim against you, was it you that directly attacked them? Or done anything supposedly to them?
Well, you read the newspaper article,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the driven narrative on this story. And the claim in the newspaper was that the woman was attacked, and I was arrested, which would suggest that
You done something.
someone. I have not been charged with anything physical to anybody.
So my understanding is you've done a video. This woman...
I've been charged for a video, nothing more, nothing less.
So supposedly then this woman supposedly received abuse in the streets.
I don't know.
Don't know.
Apparently, possibly.
And then you've been taken for it.
I've never met the woman.
No.
I've never. If she walked in here, then I'd probably struggle to pick her out in a lineup.
How's that affected you?
It's not nice. I mean, I was arrested in the street at 8:30 one morning and spent that day in a cell. And I wish I could tell you more, right?
I know, you can't.
But,
I don't like doing
how's it affect me? That's not going to affect any case. I was put in a cell. I was questioning myself because I was never interviewed. I was arrested and immediately charged as soon as I was in the police car. So it was not as if you had an interview like you see on the TV and you go, right, Craig, why did you say this? Why did you say that? So at that point, I'm going, I'm not getting any allegations flung at me. I'm just told you're charged, right? And I was cutting myself up because I'm like, I've made 1,400 videos, right? I can't remember what I've said in them all. And this video had been made like 5 days before my arrest or something. So I was probably doing about 3 a day at that time. So I've done, it's like 15, 20 videos ago, right? So I know what I've spoke about, but I can't tell you every word. And I thought, you're an idiot. Now, at first, right, I'll tell you what happened. See when he came out, right? I was at Challenge, walked out our gate, and I saw the cop car in the street. And I'm like, it's not a rough area. It's not as if there's many people get arrested in the area, but, you know, somebody might have had a shed broke into or something. So that's what I'm kind of thinking. And the cop's walking straight for me, and I'm looking, going like that. I says to him, you're looking for directions, officer? And he went, no, Craig, I'm looking for you, right? And I went like, stop it, right? So right away, my immediate thought was, I know what's happened here. Somebody's made a stupid hate crime thing, which we know that they will investigate everyone. Right? So I thought, that's what this is about. I'll be in the motor, he'll take me to the cop shop, they'll ask me about a video, I'll be out by lunchtime. That's kind of where my head was, right? But when I got into the car, immediately turned around and charged me. And I was like, well, this is serious, right? So for the next 12 hours plus, I've convinced myself, and it's actually longer than that, to actually go to watch a video. But anyway, a good length of time. I've convinced myself I'd said something stupid in a video because I'm convinced myself that you don't get arrested for stuff you've not done.
Yeah.
Well, certainly don't get charged. I mean, I've been arrested before and never charged. So you can get arrested for anything. Somebody makes a claim about you and the police think, well, that sounds a bit ropey. They'll come and arrest you. Then they'll normally, it's happened to me before, they'll interview you and then you get told to bugger off, right? So when you're getting charged, you're like, well, that's a bit serious. So I'm kind of thinking, I must have said something. So I've spent all that hating myself. I'm like, pure tadger, what did you say? You know, you're meant to be better than that. And I came home, went back to Gillian's that night, and I immediately removed it from YouTube. So I went in and I thought, I've not even spoke to a legal representative at this point about that. So I'm like, but I think that makes sense. I can always put it back up once I spoke to somebody, but I'll take it down now. So I've done that, and I've not watched it, because I'm like, I'm not watching this, because I'll want to punch myself when I see I said something. I must have said something stupid. So then I've no phone, I've still got my phone. And I normally go into bed and lie and play on my phone. So she's about to bed. I'm on the laptop bugging about the internet, and the curiosity get the better of me. So I'm sitting with this charge sheet, right? And I went like that into the internet. What does that get? What's the tariff for that? And the tariff for the alleged crime is 6 months or fine. But because it's been tied in with racist intent, 2 years. I thought, Well, that's a bit more serious. There's no an and or, right? So I don't like the sound of that. So I had quite a sleepless night that night. So I got up the next day, I had to watch a video. Because I thought, what have I said that could potentially put me in the clink for 2 years, right? I kind of need to know, because I'm gutted.
You can't really say anything, but can you? Because you're still pending this. Can you?
This is not the case.
Aye.
I can't talk about the case,
Aye.
as in,
I just.
right? But I watched the video, and I'm still none the wiser. And I'm like, I can't be angry at myself, because there's nothing to be angry at. You know the way I do my videos. I do almost the same with all my videos.
Well, it's pretty backed up with evidence. You know what I mean?
So now I've no mentioned the person, I've no mentioned the crime, I've no mentioned what I said in the video, I've no mentioned what they said, right? I've no mentioned any of that. So that's the kind, you ask me what it's like, well, that's what it's like, right? And you think, oh, maybe my belief system's wrong here. Because I kind of believe that cops are fair and the judiciary's fair and all these stuff. But then, so you've always got in the back of your head that the worst case, it doesn't matter how many people look at this and go, don't worry about it, big man, this will not go to court, or it might not, you're not guilty, or even if you do, you'll not go to jail. Not. It doesn't matter how many people tell you that. It can happen. So it's a real thing, it's a real possibility for me. And that's quite tough to deal with. And then what happens after that is you start putting out less videos. And even when you do your videos, you're saying second guessing it all the time. So what I'm going through the now could end up nothing, because at any point you could say, right, that's the case is pulled, whatever. But I'm getting the punished now. And my income's, my output's down, my income's down, even when I'm doing stuff. And even when I was back in Gillian's, because the thing happened at her door, see, for a long time before I'd go to her house, I'm checking the curtains and all that. You with me? So it affects you. I mean, listen, I'm a 6'1", 18 stone alpha male, but...
Are you?
Okay, well, no, I'm 6 foot now.
You're not alpha.
Okay, beat up. Anyway, and what was happening, again, I can talk about this because it's factual. I think the papers even told you. I was due at court on... Friday previous to have, are you guilty or no guilty, and you can, and that then starts the whole process, and that get put back. It's been delayed by 6 weeks, and I can't go into the reasons why, because I don't know the reason why, but there's a few suggested reasons why, and I'm not going to get into that. All I can tell you is I was meant to be at court 2 weeks ago, and I'm not at court. So the shit that I need to go through is... I go at least another 6 weeks. And it's pretty shit. But and it's pretty mental, because I've got bail conditions, right? Or undertaking, as you call it, to get out the night, right? And the guy put it in front of me, so they bring you out. And they told, by the way, they told everybody else. They told Gillian, because now you get your phone calls, right? So I get the night about 8:30. I'm in the cell for about 9:30. And I've left a number for a legal representation and a number.
What day was it you left it?
It's a Friday.
I was expecting you a full weekender, by the way. Because usually you get lifted on a Friday, and I'm like, he's not out until Sunday.
Well, that's for my heat. I'm out to Monday, right? So this is what my heat is. I'm in that cell, right? First time in my life like that. I wonder what happens next. I'm like, shit, could be here to Monday. So that's just a funny story. So I've left for the lawyer to get contact with me, and I've left word to just contact Gillian, but they're like, I said, but Gillian was there and I got lifted, but you can let her know what's going on. So that's the 2 numbers I've left out, right? So I'm sitting in this Nick. So you get the fingerprints, you get the DNA, and you get the photograph and all that. And I'm clocked at the side that there's a wee stack of books. And I'm like, I could be here for a few days. Or I could get moved from here, even scarier. I'm like, am I getting put in the barrel where we get? All these things go through your mind. And I'm like, the wee guy take your photo, and all that. I've clocked this pile of books. I was like, excuse me, mate. You're just about to take me to the cell. I says, I've got an all-inclusive package. Does that mean I can get a book? Right? He's like, I need bother. So I've grabbed a book, thankfully, right? But he's in, right? And I'm like, I've not got a watch, I've got nothing. You don't know what time it is. And you're like, oh. But time's going on, right? I'm like, so much for that. Fucking lawyer's meant to be a pal of mine. And I didn't expect him to come. He deals with high court stuff, but I meant, he'll get a phone call. He'll know who's best. He'll send up whoever's best to look after me. It's not happening, right? So I can't even, it's tea time before I get out, right? But they've not given me any warning or anything. I'm just like, what happens next? I'm like, it's not doing to us. It's like, am I here for the weekend? I'm like, it could be, right? So there's no a pretty picture, right? Then they just appear and go, right, Craig, that's you, you're going out, right? And I'm like, the new? I'm like, aye, off you pop. And I'm going, fucking lawyer's still not. It's tea time, the lawyer's stabbing in all day, right? So I gets myself out. Aye, so they put your undertaking in front of you and tells you what you can and can't do, right? And I went like, I can't sign that. How? And I went, I can't even tell you what the undertaking is. I probably could, but I don't want to call myself. But there's a bit of the undertaking. I went, I can't do that. I went, because I know people that. And they're like, well, what? I went, so what if I don't sign it? And what if I want to take legal advice on this before signing it? And they're like, you're back to sell. I was like, oh, geez, it, right? So I've signed that. I get through. I've not got a penny, right? I've not got a bank card because they're on the phone, right? I've got nothing.
Nada.
And I'm at the wrong end of the town because I get lifted in Knightswood and I'm now come out at Hampden Park, right? So I walked out to the Asda. Stupid. Do you know what I thought? I'll go and buy a burner phone, a pay as you go. But I walked through the door and then I went, how can I pay for it?
Can you do?
So next is a wee woman. She's like, how you doing, Craig? Love your videos, right? And I'm like, right. And I thought, I'm not really, like, I should be really nice to this woman, but my head's all over the place, right? I'm literally come out and you know, where the jail is at Hampden and walked to the Asda across the road, right? So I'm like, aye. And I thought, try and be nice to this woman, right? And I went, I said, I've got news for you. I says, this is world breaking news. Nobody else knows. I'm just out the neck. Can I use your phone? Now, thankfully, what had happened was, so they took my numbers off my phone, right? When I was at the bar. Kept my phone, but when I've come out, I went, God do me a favour, going to give me the two numbers. Because I've never, and I never also did. I'm going on a piece of paper. I don't know her mobile number. So the wee woman's like, aye, of course, Craig. Jesus, got to know the poor. So I don't even know her name, right? I'll be eternally ashamed that I don't even know this woman's name. Maybe I thanked her.
Shocking. I
know. But I was kind of, my head was a bit away at the time. So she's like, so she hands me the phone, right? I put the number in. And it's like, you're unable to make this call because you get no credit in your page you go, right? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know how to tell this, but you've got no credit in your give me that, I'm embarrassed, Craig. And I'm like, no, I'm going to go, I'll find a payphone or something. No, you don't move, don't you dare move. No, that typical Scottish wee woman.
She got a selfie?
Put 20 quid in the thing, there you go, you phone. So I phone's my Jillian, right? And I'm like, she's like, I says, just to let you know, that's me just out. She's like, what kept him? I was like, what do you mean, what kept you? I went, I've been in a cell. She went, I know. She went, now, bearing in mind, I get lifted at 8:30. It's probably at 9:30 by the time I'm in the cell, right? She went, I get a phone call at my work at 10:30 telling me that you'd be getting out soon. So, nobody tell me. Right, I'm in. That's so, and I went, so, anyway, this is a Friday, right? I'm like, I've been in there for fucking... So she knew, like, after an hour of me being in the next, she knows an hour later I'm getting out. But nobody came and told me. They're just like, don't know, right? I don't know if they're playing mind games with me or no. I don't think they were. They were all right with me. And then, so it's now Friday night. And I'm thinking, Tommy Casey's a bugger. He's not got a hold of me, right? So it goes on and on and on. And it was about the Monday before he got a hold of me, right? And I'm like, so much for being my pal, look out for your, right, to get me out the neck. He's like, what for? He went, Craig, I was doing a murder trial. He went, and I came out for the break at lunchtime, and I had a voice message saying, we've got Craig Houston in such and such cop shop, but he'll be getting out soon. And I went, what time is your message at? He's like, 10:30, right? I've told everybody. Craig's getting out the neck, and Craig's sitting in there like that.
This is me until Monday.
Listen, I felt as if I'd been in for about 3 days, right? Because I've been no watch or nothing, right? I kind of knew I hadn't been in that long because I think they did offer me a £1 or something, but aye. So that's as much as I can tell you. Listen, it's no great. You try to...
But my quick question is that obviously you would get a bit... The person that allegedly was shouting abuse at this person, did anyone there get arrested? I don't
idea.
Don't
I
have a clue.
none to do with me.
You think it would be tied. But anyway, we could talk for hours.
Yeah, cheery bye now.
No, I'm never doing a cheery bye. I wanted to talk about the bit in Greece with the car.
Hey, do it then, quick, go.
Right, quick. Right, I don't know if we can get that video, right? So you went to Greece, right? You done Calais, and then you decided to go over to Greece, right?
I'll talk to you, right? So, by this point, right, I went the north of the islands where...
Like, what was the reason for Greece?
because it's meant to be the right. I went to Calais, right? And I'm
Right.
like, right, that's same all come to UK. How did they get into the system to be in the EU? Because you can move anywhere in the EU once you're in. So my investigations taught me that Lesbos is one of the worst areas because see Lesbos, it's a square, for example, right? 3 sides of it are Turkey. There's sea in Turkey. So you get out your hotel room, if you're the north, the south, or the east of the island, and you look out to the sea, see the stuff you see over there, the other side of that water, that's Turkey, right? My digs was a mile away from the coast, and I looked out my window, and I can see Turkey, right? But the north of the island is only 6 miles from Turkey. It's shorter than Dover to Calais. So that's why it's a key area. Now, I went up, and there's a 6 mile stretch, 6 miles as a crow flies between these two towns, right? And this is the north coast. So I went up to I went to the furthest west point to start with, then I'm going to put in my sat nav to the furthest east one, go along the coast, and see if I see some boats. That's the plan. So I gets to the town, and by this point I've drove for about an hour and a half, my legs are a bit sore and that. So I'll go to the car and get a bottle of water, then I'll put in my sat nav the other town and I'll start my journey. There's a boat hire place, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, boat hire. All I need to do is go to the harbour, turn right, and sail for 6 mile. I'll get all the footage I need. I thought, I never thought about this. So he goes in, say, here, mate, can I hire a boat? He's like, yeah, you've got 2 boats. Flips him up. He went, you can have that one, no captain, that one, with a captain. I went, no, a speedboat type thing. Like a day boat you'd get, right? No, a dinghy or anything, a decent thing. I says, that there, and I thought, this has got to be dear.
You in a boat?
No, I've done it before, mate. He went, no surrounded by migrants, right enough.
Aye.
Anyway, I went, right, give me that one. How much is it? He's like, 4 hours, €100. Is that it? It's about 80 quid, isn't it? Is that it? And he went, no, you need to pay your own fuel, but your fuel could be about 20, 30 euros in fuel. And I'm like, oh, that's a result. What a day I'm having, right? 4 hours in the boat, and then I'm like, so I need to go 12 miles, 4 hours. Even if I'd go at 3 knots, I'm up and down the whole thing, right? I'm like, job done, right? What do we do? So the boy gets the thing out, he start taking book me out.
Aye.
And he's gone overtime. I'm like, oh, yeah, dancer, man, this is going to be so much fun, right? So he starts, and he get ID, he's like, get a driving licence, that's fine. So he's like, so where do you want to go? Where are you going? I says, I'm just going to go to the harbour, mate, and turn right and head along where the migrants come in. He's like, what for? I says, I'm a podcaster, mate. I do news stuff and investigations, and I want to get some footage of the migrants. No, I just left the south of the island, but I talked to a wee guy, I ended up in his restaurant every day, this guy. I was like, is there still a lot of migrants? He's like, every day they're landing. I was like, cool, I'll get plenty of footage. So anyway, I'm up north of the island now, and it's like 2 different islands, by the way, the north and the south, 2 different planets you're on. And the guy, he's like, you're what? I says, I'm a podcaster. And you're going to make a video of the migrants and put it out on the internet? I went, aye. And he went, there isn't any migrants. And I've just came for the end. The guy says it's happening every day. I've just passed the asylum centre, but it's full, right? So how did the migrants not come to the boats anymore? How come you get an asylum centre that's kind of busy? He's like, oh, well, I mean, it only happens once or twice a year. So I'm like, he doesn't.
He's
relying on tourists.
Right, okay.
The last thing I want to do is to have less tourists go to Lesbos, right? Because they're not doing daft things like I am, right? So you could probably go and have a nice time, right? And suddenly, the book get put back in the drawer, right? And he's like, nah, you can't do that. I was like, how? That restricted area. I'm like, what are you talking about, right? So anyway, so now I'm driving, right? So as I've left this beautiful place, it was like a wee cove, a wee beach here in the harbour here, and it's backing up the side. It was all pebble, what do you call it? Pebble stones. What do you call them?
Right,
cobblestones, right? Beautiful, stunning, right?
Hey, we've pictured the scene, man.
I'm parked, right?
Pictured the scene. We've got
right.
It's
So now I
exotic.
went, I need to drive it, right?
Hey.
So I've got the name of the other town, the other side of this 6 mile coast. So I put that into my sat nav, and I'm just leaving the town. And I saw, now, over there, all the car plates, Reggies, are either Greek or Turkish, because the Turks can go for a day trip, right? It's only half an hour on the ferry, right? And I saw a Swiss plate. No, Swiss number plates are a bit weird. They're different for the rest of Europe. They've got the wee cross here, and then in the right hand, they've got 2 shields. And the right hand side is your sort of region in Switzerland. So you've got the Swiss sort of coat of arms here, and a regional one here, Zurich or whatever, right? And I can't remember the type of car, but it was just a standout for me. 30 years in the motor trade, you kind of notice things like Reggie plates and stuff, right? And I went, Swiss plate, he's game. What sort of journey's he done, right? So I then started following my sat-nav, and I went, whoa, stop a minute. It was taking me away inland, right, to get to this town the quickest route. I was like, there's a road. I can see it. There's a road in the map there, right? Why is it not taking me the coast road? Because I thought, why be inland? I figured out 10 minutes later, because I just went and followed it without the sat-nav. I'm watching the map, and the road stops, and it's a dirt track.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got about 6 miles, maybe 7 miles by the time it does that, of dirt track. And there's loads of stories with there, and I found this UN facility, like where the boats arrive, which was a bit weird, and there was a guard outside looking a bit weird at me and all that, right? Then I seen this shack with three battered pickups, and I don't think that had anything to do with immigration. It might have done, it might have been gangsters or something, I don't know, but it looked like something out of right? It was like, hey boy, right? And I'm like, don't get a puncture here, big guy, right? It was just shady, right? And you've got 6 miles.
Is this the road? Is this?
No. So we get 6 miles of this, right? And I didn't tip out until I was doing the edit that only passed one car on this 6 mile road coming the other way. And I hadn't even noticed at the time it was a white people carrier with blacked out windows and a guy in a uniform driving it up a dirt track. I've just passed a UN facility that nobody knows what it is. It's guarded by UN people, right? There's something shady going on here, right? Then I gets to the end of the dirt track and the end of the 6 miles of coast. And it was a lovely wee village with a couple of bars in it. And another Swiss car. But this time I'm going, what? 2 Swiss cars, 6 miles apart, north of this island where all the chaos is starting. But this one I'm paying attention now. This one is a blue BMW X5. Right? Take note, big guy. I might come across many of these. I'd love to tell you the first one I seen at the other side of the island was a blue X5. I don't know. And I couldn't say it as, I can't say it as. It might have been, right? So anyway, the second one's a blue X5. So now I'm trying to get home. So I'm now at the other end of the thing. I've then put the sat-nav in to get me back to my digs, and I'm heading up the mountain roads to get home.
Shine yourself.
Oh, my head's burst. See the hour and a half of that 6 miles, mate. The amount I could do a full podcast telling you about that hour and a half, the mad shit that I've seen, right?
Can you tell us any?
I'm telling you one I know.
Right. Apart from one, I wanted more.
I wish I started with this in the
start.
Right. So, why don't you watch your 45-minute podcast add-on on it? And you can
I've watched it, but I'm trying to tell people, other people haven't watched that. You do that many videos, I tell you put it more than Fast and Furious, man.
Right. So now I'm leaving this north coast thing, and I'm going through it's like up the mountains and that to get me back down to the southeast of the island where I'm staying. And I seen some weird things here, and like total mad, like what do you call it? Communist all over the place, right? Like, that's a bit weird. And I found another. They're funny, see the Turks and the Greeks, see filming military compounds and that, they're a bit weird with, right? And I found some right shit weird ones that I wish I could have videoed. I wasn't that brave. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. It was like military stuff for like the 60s and that. The tanks were just old fashioned and all that. And I'm like, I can't even guess what that's all about, right? There's maybe something in that. So anyway, I sort of slowed down at this military thing and the communist thing, right? And then just past that. Now, nobody's passed me on this whole road, right? And I'm about maybe 20 minutes south of where I saw my second Swiss car. And I came into this village, and what's in front of me? In front of me, now I'm driving this way, nobody's overtook me. I'm just seeing a dark blue X5 BMW with Swiss plates. And I came into this beautiful wee valley up the middle, and as we just came out at the other side of it, what's in front of me?
Blue X5.
With Swiss plates.
And
I was like, no, this is getting weird now, right? This is getting a bit daft. This is potentially one of the daftest things I've stumbled across. So I thought I'll maybe start seeing more Swiss dark blue X5s. I might have seen 3 already.
Is it worth starting playing this now?
But I know I've seen 2, right? So what my logic was, I've got my dash mounted camera, get close enough so I can take a note of the regi number. And what I'll start doing is noting the regi, because I might have seen, it's impossible in this instance. I have not seen the same car 3 times here. It is impossible. to see the 3 cars that I've seen at this point.
Uh-huh.
There is no danger. It is impossible for it to be the same car. But going forward, if I'm there for another couple of days and I see 10 of them, it could be the same 3 cars that I've seen 2 or 3 times each. You with me? So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to catch up with him so I can record his Reggie plate to then start a hang me. And if you play it now, you'll see what happens to my car. So I come up with this hairpin here, right? And
No. Then we get hit with this.
that's me.
That'll be you talking about it, take it.
Aye, you're obviously talking about it.
Aye.
So let's see if we can get to it. There's
Oh,
some
that's
build up on offer that, by the way.
Aye. She used to play the video. It's far better than this video. the
Aye,
one on
no,
your
I mean, this
podcast.
is, you can't even get through that
So-
without interrupting it.
I come up with a hairpin, right? And I think when I turn this hairpin, I'm going to be close enough that my camera will pick up his Reggie number.
Is this it? Is that?
Aye.
Let's
Just
see
calm
if it-
down, Biggin. It's coming.
It's coming, it's coming.
It's coming. Be better if with volume because we this.
Aye,
there we
aye,
go.
aye, so-
So I've come up with a hairpin, right?
Right.
And I'm into second gear. And you might actually see the bonnet of the car going like that. See when you lose power? There you go.
Aye.
That happened there.
Well, it's stalling. Is this an automatic car?
Aye. And then look,
Because you get that close to that car, do you think?
I don't know. John, I tell you what I do. I compile facts. I tell people facts, right? You tell me. But my car, you know the way when you lose power and it goes like that?
Yeah.
Right? It done it coming out of that hairpin. And he just disappeared. And see by the time it got to like driving almost normal again, I come round the next bend and I'm like, where did that X5 go with the Swiss plates? So now my head's puggled, right? And I've seen all these weird things happening. Now I'm going, what's going on? And I saw the guards at the asylum centre. I was like, oh God. I was driving by it one day, right? It's right in the main road. You can't miss it. It's the first thing I found when I got there, and I thought it'd take me days to find the one that's opened. The one that's closed, that's a whole different ballgame. That's the one where I lost all my comms and stuff like that in the middle of the forest, right? But the one that they've got people in there now, I came by it one day, right? And I seen that some of the staff coming out. And I went, I would love to know how many staff's in there. So if they're coming out, I'm tipping they've got a staff car park. So if I find out where the staff cars are parked, I can then kind of work out how much staff they've got in there, and I could probably work out how many people they've got in there, right? That's where my head was going. So I kind of slowed down, and I waited for the staff to go, where are you going? Oh, crossing the road, crossing the road. Oh, there's a car park there. So now I've identified there's about 30 to 40 cars for staff, right? But as I've telling this person, I was sat, and it was Frontex and an EU logo, right? And I thought, I wonder if Frontex is like G4S. It's just a security company that deal with it. Because I've never heard of it before. So then, now, all this mad shit's happened in the space, up the north of this island. You're not getting a boat, right? This is before day 2 when I went into the fucking forest myself, right? That was where I even get me. Anyway, trying to deal with one thing at a time.
There's another one.
No. So, and then by the time I got up the road, I'm like, after the first full day in the place, I'm like, this isn't what I was expecting. I was expecting boys coming off boats, me making a video, going, they're coming to Britain, right? That was the video that I thought I was getting, right? But after 24 hours in the place, I'm like, this place is, there's something all right here. So I found out these UNCHR camps, that's the United Nations, what do you call them?
Military?
No, refugee people, right?
Yeah.
I got a camp here, I got a facility right where the boats land, right? And you're like, all right. So I thought that was a bit weird. And then I've seen this Frontex thing, and I went, right, so Frontex, trying to tell you the long story boring with that, Frontex did have a gaffer who was a bit right of centre, right? And Frontex is European army that nobody knows about. There's, at the time, 2,500 of them, right? And they help you control your borders, right? So where you've got borders coming into Europe. So if you're like in Switzerland, you don't need any because you've not got a European border. You've got border with European countries, right? So right in the extremities of it, they can send these people. And the guy that was a bit naughty, and in Greece, the Greeks were being a bit nasty and they were puncturing boats and kicking them back and capsizing. The folk died in the sea because the Greeks were mental. They're just like, no, you're not coming here. Bang, right? And this guy was turning a blind eye. The original guy. So they papped him. They then brought a guy in called Lippmann, who is Dutch. So he's had the gig about 18 months, right? And he's a mad lefty, right? So he's already told us, and this stuff's on the ether. You just Google it; it tells you in the bloody websites. It's all this stuff. It's there in plain sight if you want to find it, right? So by 2027, they're going to have 10,000 armed soldiers protecting the borders in the bits where Europe meets non-Europe, right? He's told us in press releases that if they're in your country and you don't allow them to do what they want to do, you'll get sanctioned. This is the EU telling the countries, you've got a sovereign border, but we'll come in and tell you what we're doing, and if you don't let us, we're going to sanction you. So they could go either way at this point, because it could be really, really tough, like the first guy that was turning blind eye to tipping boats and all that, or it could go the other way and become asylum friendly. Right. So now he's put out statements saying that he guarantees that every asylum seeker that come into touch with his forces will be shown the utmost respect, every single humanitarian law, and they'll be escorted to safety. Now, the ECHR, who are the UN asylum seekers thing, they love the asylum seekers because they've got a £60 billion per year budget to look after them, right? It is the biggest budget in the whole of the UN, believe it or not, is the UNHCR, that I've seen facilities all over the island, right? They're building right now 5 centres in Greece alone to accommodate asylum seekers. Mega centres. That's where I was trying to find one and all my comms went lost. And there was a guard turned up and all that nonsense, right? That is a full podcast, right? Mm-hmm. So they're building across Greece on 4 islands. Now, the one in Lesbos is about 70, 80 million euros to build it, right? It's going to house thousands. And one in the mainland. 5 in total. £60 billion a year they get, right, after UN. Now, they're not going to be empty. That makes more sense, because then they'll not have a £60 billion a year budget next year. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Guess who's done a cooperation agreement and guaranteed to work together? Frontex, the army, that's going to be 10,000 soon, and the UN's refugee stuff, with a signed agreement that Border Force, when it's Frontex, will do everything for the asylum seeker. Because these people are fleeing persecution and we need to welcome them into Europe. 10,000 they're going to have. Now, these centres will not be... There's not a chance that this UN body want their budget cut next year, because too many people are making coin. There's not a chance that they've spent... Now, I don't know how much the other 4 are, but I know the one on Lesbos was about 70 million euro. So let's just times that by 5, so 350 million euros building these centres for asylum seekers. Can you imagine what the UN would say to the UNCRH if once they're all built by the end of this year, they're no full? Work it out. And the people that can stop them are either your own army, because you're sovereign and you control your borders, or the EU. And the EU is telling you, we're going to quadruple our force, and if we come into your country to control your border, we'll decide what's happening. And they've already told us what's happening by signing an agreement with the refugee people, UNHCR.
Wild.
Can we finish on that?
Last one, we're done. Then we can do your cheery bye, right? Because that's pretty... You can't just... No, I mean, that was pretty intense there, and we can finish with that. Quick question. Why do you think this is happening?
There could be a number of reasons, John. And it doesn't matter to me why. The why doesn't matter to me, and I'll explain to you. You could be coincidence. It could be that there's some bigger, darker force that's part of some master plan, and, you know, we're all lizards and all that. I don't know. I don't know is a genuine thing, right? But all I do know is, and this is a tricky bit, we have now created, not just in Britain, as I've just explained to you, in the whole of Europe now, an industry called immigration. Okay? And let's just look at the UK alone, right? We've got hoteliers, lawyers, I nearly said ventriloquists, interpreters. We've now even established, I've done a video about what's happened, by the way, seen the last, since 2017, deliberately bringing in foreign students to the country, what it's done to the industry of further education. So that's another industry. I know people that for years have got businesses in Glasgow that their sole purpose is to deliver furniture to asylum seekers once they get into the social housing market. So that's a part of the industry, right? So you get this big plethora of business now, an industry, all making coin. Right? All making coin. You've got the UNHCR, no stopping them coming in because they're making coin. You've got the army that's gone from 2,500 to 10,000. They're making coin. Right? So it actually doesn't matter if there's anything up here at all or it's pure coincidence. The truth of the matter is we're at a point now where we've created all these industries, pan-European industries, on immigration, that's what we need to get to. We need to stop the industry of immigration because it's normal, the only people that are going to be affected by this is normal. It's your working class people in your working class towns and your working class areas. Bearsden don't have a migrant hotel. There we go.
I'll finish on one more question. Because the thing is, there's so many questions. If this wasn't happening, in the level it's happening, what would be your stance on immigration?
What do you mean?
Would you be fine with it, like, because it's happening the way it is? Because that's the thing everybody says, oh, you must be against people seeking refugees and all that.
No, I've already told you that. I've got friends that are refugees, right? The refugee program, if you can help people, that are in distress in other parts of the world, then should you do it? Of course you should, right? And anybody that says you shouldn't doesn't have a heart, right? If you can do it. And I come across, I go into a lot of spaces there that a lot of people have all got the same thing. They want immigration to drop. Now, if you want immigration to drop by one person per year, you want immigration to drop. Some people want it to drop by 100%. They don't want any. That doesn't make sense to me. And I'll explain to you quickly why that doesn't make sense. Let's say, for example, Elon Musk decides that Grangemouth, very topical, would make a great battery plant to build the batteries for his next Tesla. So he's going to come to Scotland and invest hundreds of millions of pounds. And he fancies living in a castle in Perthshire to look after his investment. And maybe not be here all the time, but come to the country and have a home in Britain and invest 500 million quid in this thing in Grangemouth, which would really help our economy. If you want no immigration whatsoever, you'd need to tell Elon Musk, sorry mate, you're not coming. And that doesn't make sense to me. So when people say they want zero immigration, I need to question, do you understand how the economics of the world work? Or are you just a racist bigot that just doesn't like foreigners? Make your own mind up. I think we need to, but the thing we need to know who it is that's coming, and we need to have like limits on it, like normal countries, like Australia. They will take X amount of people per year. You can apply and you might get in, right? Well, we kind of need some of that. And we need it quick. Our country's busting, it seems.
100%. I mean, Australia had probably one of the best ways to get into the country. You know, you had to have visa, you used to have X amount of money in the bank, you used to have a sponsor, you used to have to work there for a year. But it doesn't seem that way. Look, Big House Day. Finally got there in the end, I think. Although, in fact, there was 1 minute, I can't know. Well, look, finally we get to sit down and do this. What do you think of this get up?
Beautiful. I want one for the house.
Aye, that's...
I don't want that. I like the telly's fine.
That's quality. Bring the noise. We're all bringing the noise. Do you know what's brilliant? More people are starting to bring the noise now, and I'm loving it.
See the back you've got, I'm trying to remember what they call that effect, the white.
What?
It's just too much.
Illuminated?
Too much. Aye, the bit at the back. It's whoever designed
just waste, man.
Oh.
You deal with your logo and I'll deal with mine. That's perfect. I'm loving it. Anyway, look, I'm loving it along the thing. Anyway, back to do one of your wee monologues. But if you're the kind of person that brings, if you're expecting to bring Craig Houston onto a podcast, please make sure you've got about 500 gigabytes on your SD card and 10 hours worth of footage.
Do you want me to do this? Do you want me to finish your podcast?
Well, I like to say bring the noise to finish, but you do it, go for it.
I'm your guest.
Right, go for it. You can do your cheery bye.
Unless you're the type of person that invites your mate down to lovely Ayrshire to record a podcast, telling him it'll take an hour and take 3 hours of his time. Unless that's you, everyone else, have a great day. Cheery bye now.
And bring the noise.
And bring the noise.
Done.
Up the road.
Up the road. Fucking hell. You can talk.
Superb.
You can talk. Do you know what? See that bit where I tell a story and you walk back? I feel like keeping that in for a bit of humour.